the foreseeable future, so it is likely that we will require an intermittent, likely at the same time as we get a flu vaccine, at least once a year.
Hey, what's going on, folks? We have another mega show for you today, which means lots of clips, lots of stories, lots of reports. First one is on Dr. Anthony Fauci, wording it very oddly, saying that we would likely require booster shots. What did you mean by that? Did you mean most people should get them, or did you mean what the word require also sometimes means, which is by law? We'll look into that. Then we're going to look at Glenn Youngkin's very interesting back and forth with a transgender student on CNN. I'll react to that. Good luck. Then we're going to look at two UFC fighters. One is a white South African, and one is a black man born in Africa who doesn't currently live there, having a back and forth over who's more African. What makes you African? Living there? The nation? Or the ethnicity? It's an interesting dialogue. I like both of them. And it's a conversation a lot of people are having behind closed doors, so why not have it out in the open? And then we're going to round it up with some bonus stuff at the end. Trust me, you're not going to want to miss this show. Dream Rare Podcast, the show starts now. It's the Dream Rare Podcast. Welcome to the show. The way to get the news at the desk or on the road. Let's go. God is great and success in our control. The world is crazy, but we get better from obstacles. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Dream Rare Podcast. I don't see the chat right now. I'll just assume it's working until I figure out that it isn't. But I got a lot of stories to get through today, so I'm going to start pretty quickly. First one I want to talk about is Dr. Anthony Fauci. I saw a bunch of headlines of people saying he said that the booster shot was going to be required, and I wanted to see the exact wording of what he said because I think, he didn't say it was going to be required, but he did use the word required. So let's just watch the clip in full context before we kind of have our reaction to it. Let's watch.
Well, that leads to the question, Joe, and would like the answer from you, Dr. Fauci, who you're the pride of Holy Cross College. And I don't believe you were in medical school with Ted Cruz or Jim Jordan. But how many booster shots do you think we will be getting? There's one available now, but how long in the future will we be getting booster shots?
We don't know definitively the answer to that, but it is likely that this thing is not going to disappear. It's not going to be eradicated, and it's not going to be eliminated. So it's going to be around.
All right, so that's the first part of his answer. Here's the part where he says the word require, which is leading a lot of media to suggest that they feel like they're going to try to bring the mandates back on us. Let's watch and see what you think.
For the foreseeable future. So it is likely that we will require an intermittent, likely at the same time as we get a flu vaccine, at least once a year, very similar to what we do to keep updated on our immunity against influenza. It is very likely that the similar situation we'll be experiencing with COVID, namely getting a booster shot once a year, probably at the same time as we get an influenza shot.
So you heard it there. To me, it didn't sound like he was 100% like, oh yeah, we're going to force it in people's arms and we're going to kick you out of stores again. But he did use the word require. And obviously you've heard that word before in your life. But if you look up require, it could mean two things. It could mean need. It's a synonym for the word need, but also required by law is one of the definitions. So I understand why people are skeptical of how he said that, because it wasn't like, oh, you should get it, or I think you should get it, or most people should get it. He did use the word require. I want to say this. I don't think the big pharma tyranny's done. I've said this a lot. I don't want to sound too much like a broken record, but I don't believe we beat big pharma or anything. I think both parties are in on it. Both candidates are in on it. Even bringing this up bothers people because they're so obsessed with loving or hating certain like WWE characters in politics that like it offends them to think that their guy might not really care as much as you think they care. So it's been this really ugly situation. But if you look at just the Biden administration now, we've talked about it here. The mandate's still in place. There's still people from other countries, from England, from Europe, from Africa, from anywhere. I'm just naming random places that can't come to America. If you're vaccinated, you can come on a work trip. If you're not vaccinated, you still can't come to America. So there still is vaccine tyranny here. And the weird part is, while I'm not blaming Republicans for this, I think it's Democrat and the Biden administration's fault. You just don't hear that much about it. It's almost like an afterthought to a lot of people. It's like, you see how people act kind of like domesticated sheep. I'm not trying to be rude, but it's like here's the new subject, here's the new subject. And people just like run back and forth, and they'll talk about January 6th, defending it, against it, they liked it, whatever, for 2 years, but they're not even going to talk about all of 2020 and all the vaccine tyranny that still exists. So I wouldn't be surprised if they tried to bring this stuff back, and without being overly fearful about it. I think people should really wake up. I would love to see the left wing wake up from this slumber they've been in. They've been brainwashed by big pharma and big government. And the right, it just seems like this big game people are playing where they're running in circles, but I don't know. I could see them trying to bring this back and nobody even realizing it or caring enough. So I pray that people wake up, and I think hopefully people are ready to say no to mandates, because they did it once. They could obviously do it again. I don't see 2020 as an afterthought and a mistake. And maybe this is the difference between me and why a lot of my following has like maybe not liked some of my videos, because they're like, oh, stop talking about 2 years ago. Like, who cares? Like, it was just a little mistake. Like, you think the lockdown was a mistake? You think Operation Warp Speed was a mistake? You think all these hires in the administration was a mistake? You think, this is not a mistake. This is just how the government works. So it's, why would it stop? That's my take. So hopefully they don't bring back mandatory vaccines, but it wouldn't shock me. And I think hopefully tens of millions of people are awake and will actually stand up this time instead of caving with fake vaccine passports and getting it just so they could do things. Not a good sign last time, but I pray that people are different now. Here's a clip I saw from Joe Rogan, and I guess Dave Smith was talking to him. Just watch it. It'll explain itself.
Rand Paul, I don't know if you saw one of these moments, those Rand Paul versus Fauci moments, and he said that they found out through a Freedom of Information Act that it was something like $135 million in royalties had been paid out to scientists on the NIH, at the NIH from pharmaceutical companies.
27,000 royalty payments were paid to 1,800 NIH employees.
And he asks Fauci straight up, he goes,
can you tell me that you have not received a royalty from any entity that you ever oversaw the distribution of money in research grants?
And Fauci, in a roundabout way, was like,
according to the regulations, people who receive royalties are not required to divulge them even on their financial statement.
Don't you think, shouldn't we know that? Shouldn't we at least be able to know, how much money does Fauci make from Pfizer and Moderna? Because that seems like a tiny conflict of interest.
A giant conflict of interest.
I mean, great job to Dave Smith to bring that up. Great job to Rand Paul to ask that question. And really great job to whoever made that clip. Because if you're watching the clip, if you're listening on podcasts, I apologize. But if you're watching it, they really edited that clip totally perfectly to show that, there's apparently you saw what it said, thousands of people in government that are receiving money, but they don't have to say who they're receiving money from. What a scam this all is. We know how lobbying works, but how many other government servants are basically being bought out by big pharma? And we know that thousands of them exist, but we don't know which ones they are. I mean, I don't know how long I want to talk about this. The Moderna patent is joint owned by the government. The government was trying to go to court and sue Moderna because the government claimed part of the patent or part of the intellectual property. I'm not sure if the government won. I assume so. And then Moderna tried to sue Pfizer, and Pfizer countersued Moderna apparently, but Moderna was saying that they had this intellectual property from 2010 to 2016, and the Pfizer COVID vaccine was actually their intellectual property. So you had Moderna suing Pfizer. So the government owns Moderna. Moderna's trying to own Pfizer. I mean, isn't it obvious? Look at the cabinet. Who's giving the most money to politicians? Big Pharma? Who are they putting at the top of HHS and FDA? People that come and go. It's like a revolving door to Pfizer, Eli Lilly, lobbyists. The whole thing is a total scam. And this is the part I really want to drive home, because I understand, like an ocean, my popularity will come in waves, and I'm not looking to be popular, but I'm trying to speak the truth, because the truth ages like fine wine. I understand it might hurt the feelings of Democrats sometimes. Oh no, it sounds like a right-wing conspiracy theory. Well, I'm sorry, but sometimes the truth is the truth, and someone lied to you and said it was a right-wing conspiracy theory. Maybe it's true. And then people on the right are like, oh, I love Trump so much, I don't want to hear it. Well, I don't know what you want me to tell you. I'll take a financial hit. I'll take a hit of my, following or whatever. I don't really care. But over time, like an ocean, I think it'll all come back, because the truth is big pharma has obviously swallowed up Trump also, but I don't want to hear it. I want to make excuses for it. whatever. But, don't you want to know which government people are being controlled by pharma? And there's a reason they're coming up short, or they're being swallowed by Fauci and Birx and whoever else. I mean, I have more information I want to talk about later, but I'm not doing this to be edgy. I'm not doing this because I have nothing to talk about. It's just the truth. Like, big pharma swallowed our country up in 2020. We're still reaping the consequences of that. And I don't really see anything that's changed. What changed? Because there's a fake fight between Trump and Biden, or Trump versus DeSantis, and you're going to run in circles for 4 years? The structure of how the government works is not changing. So it's all fake. It's all pointless. You might as well just watch sports and tune it out if that's how people are going to act like children. So I pray that people wake up, because obviously Fauci is corrupt, but he's not the only one. There's thousands of people, and whether it's a Democrat or a Republican, for the last 40 years, both administrations have been swallowed by big pharma. So let's get to the root of the issue, or else, in my opinion, they're going to have another surprise for us. That's just my perspective. Let's watch this clip. Speaking of like situations you don't want to be in, I just thought this was like a masterclass, like a 2023 like situation that you don't want to be in. Glenn Youngkin on CNN talking to a transgender student, trying to figure out which bathroom they would go in. I mean, just watch this clip. I just watched it and I was like, this is so 2023. Let's watch.
Governor Youngkin, your transgender model policies require that students play on the sports teams and use the restrooms that correspond with their sex assigned at birth. Look at me. I am a transgender man. Do you really think that the girls in my high school would feel comfortable sharing a restroom with me?
Yep. So first of all, Nico, thank you for, again, asking the question, being here tonight, and engaging in this important discussion. I believe first, when parents are engaged with their children, then you can make good decisions together. And I met your dad, and I'm glad that you're both here together. That's really, really important. I also think that there are lots of students involved in this decision. And what's most important is that we try very hard to accommodate students. That's why I have said many, many times, we just need extra bathrooms in schools. We need gender-neutral bathrooms, and so people can use a bathroom that they, in fact, are comfortable with. I think sports are very clear, and I don't think it's controversial. I don't think that biological boys should be playing sports with biological girls. There's been decades of efforts in order to gain opportunities for women in sports, and it's just not fair. And I think that's non-controversial, and something that I think is pretty well understood. Again, I think these are very difficult discussions, and I am very, very glad to see you and your dad here together.
I got to say this for the people listening just on audio, but right at the end when he talked about the sports thing, you had some guy in the CNN audience like shaking his head. It's like Glenn Youngkin's trying so hard to reach across the aisle. He's trying so hard to be politically correct. He's trying so hard to not offend anybody but stand up to his values. And still, somebody can't handle it. I mean, there's a lot of things going on here. Obviously, let me know what you think in the comments. I'm going to start with the first thing that comes to my mind. You can't please the left. You just can't. You can be yourself. You can be compassionate and thoughtful, but you can never please these people. Even if you're like, I understand this is complex. We'll build more bathrooms, but like, biological boys shouldn't play sports with biological girls. They're still going to hate you. So my thing is, be honest, be moral, be fair, be righteous, be yourself, right? But don't cave just because you think they're going to like it, because they're never going to like you. It doesn't matter if you do 99 out of 100 things that they want, and then the one thing you're just telling the truth on, they're never going to like you. So you might as well just tell the truth and be yourself. At this point, that's my opinion. There's no reason to really like cave to them. Another thing is like, that's a place I would never want to be in. Like in my head, I could be like, yeah, I don't think you should be in that bathroom. But then you have this kid that to be honest, I'm slightly confused at what's even going on. I guess that was someone that was born a woman that is now identifying as a man that looks like a little boy at this point. I don't know if they've taken hormones or done their hair different. I have no idea. But me, I wouldn't want to be on stage with him being like, which bathroom do I go in, huh? And then like, you're going to look like a dick no matter what you say. It's like, I don't know. I've never seen someone like you before. I'm sure they exist, but it's like, what? You know, this is politics. Like, you go on CNN trying to appeal to the left, and they just put you in like the craziest predicament, like the 0.00001% predicament that doesn't really exist that much in real life. That's just going to make you look bad either way. Dude, politics is a grimy game. Like, I just think of the meme of the guy sweating when, you know, Glenn Youngkin's on stage and that kid's looking at him like, oh, snap. With the bathrooms, I have to say this. I've gone to places where there's a girl's bathroom and a trans neutral bathroom. And it's like, did I just lose a bathroom? I just lost half a bathroom. You know, how is that fair? I'm not going to cry over it like, oh, I'm a man, I don't know where to pee. Dude, if you don't let me in your bathroom, I'll piss on your building. That's the type of person I am. I'm not I'm not trying to sound like I'm a dick, but during COVID, they're like, excuse me, sir, you can't use the bathroom because of COVID. I'm like, well, I'm a man and I have to pee, so if you don't let me use your bathroom, I would literally just go outside and start peeing on the building out of spite. I'm not a spiteful person, but like, my bladder's going to explode, and you're telling me I can't use your bathroom because of COVID-19? Like, the virus doesn't get, like, dude, I got to pee. I hated COVID because no one would let me pee anywhere. It was like, I'm like running around, everyone's like, sorry, this bathroom's closed. Sorry, this bathroom's closed. It was like a Black Mirror episode. Pee on the thing. With that being said, you notice that they're like taking away men's bathrooms to make them like trans neutral. It's like woman's bathroom, half a bathroom. It's like, is there a man's movement in the world? We're losing bathrooms. This doesn't seem fair. On that note, I mean, you have like grown guys that are sloppy going in like women's spas and stuff, like, and then women are complaining. Like, I get it. Yeah, I don't think that's a good idea. When it comes to the kids stuff, dude, it's getting weird out there. That's all I'll say. And it's like, I mean, what would you say if you were Glenn Youngkin? Would you look that kid in the face and be like, yeah, you got to piss with the women? Like, I mean, I don't know. Let me try to read some comments before I go to the next story, because let's see what you guys are saying. What he should have said was, we need to get you help. Your mental illness needs to be addressed. Yeah, I mean, he could have said that, but that's not going to get him a lot of fans on CNN. Not that he needs to care, but I mean, he tried to be like, we'll build new bathrooms for people like you. You know, like, it's just like, dude, it's gonna get crazy out there. That's all I'm gonna say. Like, I'm a thoughtful person, but it's like, yeah, I mean, that's a conversation to have with the father too, because I don't know how young that kid is. 13, 14, 15, 12. I can't really tell ages like that. Like, what's going on in that household to bring that person to that position? To me, it's like, that's a whole thing that needs to happen off camera, just to do a quick gotcha moment on camera. It's crazy. And I know this started as like a fringe issue like 10 years ago. It's like, oh, which bathroom is Caitlyn Jenner going to use? Like, dude, it's morphed into so much bigger right now that it's like, dude, I don't know. It's a sloppy situation to be in. I just thought that clip was pretty wild. Let me know your thoughts. I'll read some at the end. I want to move on, but I do want to read your thoughts. This next one, I'm going to play a clip real quick of just one of my favorite UFC clips of like an interview, because Israel Adesanya, former champion, belt holder, he called out Ghislaine Maxwell, and I just thought it was fire. It's worth a reshare. So let's just watch real quick, and then I want to get into this other story.
Ghislaine Maxwell just got put away for 20 years. So she was supplying kids for all these fucking pedos, right? Where's the list? Is that just gets like, I don't know.
Kind of weird that got no coverage, but Johnny Depp and Amber was
everywhere. Yeah, and I'm like, so the list of, you know, politicians and actresses and actors or whatever that they talked about, does that get swept under the rug? Do they not get any time for actually fucking those kids? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, that's weird how that just doesn't compute with me.
So I like UFC. I like MMA. I know I have like a political news channel for the most part in hip hop, so I'm not trying to like over mix stuff up. But I love UFC fighters because they just pretty much speak their mind. They're not beholden like the NBA so much. I love that, you know, one of the champions is just like, what's going on with Ghislaine Maxwell? Like, what about all the kids they messed with? Like, how come nobody's been held accountable besides her and Epstein? I thought that was awesome, but that has nothing to do with the story I was telling. I just wanted to show people why, one of the many reasons I like mixed martial arts, but as a sport, they're not super controlled, at least vocally. With that being said, there's been a whole racial African debate between two players, and I thought it kind of bridge the gap between what I do and the sport. It's more of like a social issue. I find it interesting. I like both of these people, so I'm going to be as fair as I can be and as honest. So there's a white South African fighter. His name is Dricus du Plessis, and he's from South Africa. I think born and raised. He still lives there. And then there's other African fighters like Kamaru Usman and the guy I just showed you, Israel Adesanya, who were born in Nigeria, but Israel Adesanya went to New Zealand, and Kamaru Usman, I think, went to the United States. And the white South African basically said, I'm the real African. You know, I wake up in Africa. I eat, sleep, breathe Africa. So there has never been an African champion. If I win the belt, I'll be the first African champion, essentially. Let's take a listen to his, his speech. And there's a reason I'm playing this besides what I just said.
Or do you see this as an opportunity? Now you do get to be the guy if and when they show up to Africa.
Well, I mean, did those belts ever go to Africa? As far as I know, it came to America and New Zealand. I'm going to take a belt to Africa. I'm the African fighter in the UFC. Myself and Cameron, we breathe the African air. We wake up in Africa every day. We train in Africa. We're African born. We're African raised. We still reside in Africa. We train out of Africa. That's an African champion, and that's who I'll be.
It's a huge jab metaphorically to Kamaru Usman and Israel Adesanya, who are, consider themselves African to a certain extent, even though they moved, to be like, no, I'm the only African, really. It's like, I'm out here living in Africa. If I win the belt, I'll take it to Africa. And this kind of strikes the conversation is, what does it mean to be African? What does it mean to be European? Is it moving there? If you're black and you live in Paris and you've been there for 5 years, are you more French than the guy whose family's been there for 400 years, but he moves to America? Same with China. And that's what Kamaru Usman says. He's like, if I move to China, am I more Chinese than the Chinese people? It's an interesting convo, but let's listen to the rebuttal from Kamaru Usman. I'll see some of your comments and then I'll say my piece, because it's a fascinating race versus nation convo that spreads way further than mixed martial arts.
Did you see did you hear Dricus du Plessis, that's a difficult name to pronounce, his comments about being the African fighter in the UFC?
Oh, I actually saw that. I think it's this week or last week. One of my former teammates sent it to me. They're trying to be messy, of course. I saw it, and the thing about me is just I try not to be quick to jump on someone and really kill them for those things. I'm not part of this cancel culture, but though I understand what he's trying to say. But the one thing that I think he's failing to realize is, just because I go to China and my parents are in China and I'm raised in China, that doesn't make me more Chinese than the people from China. That doesn't make me more Chinese. And so just because you went over to South Africa and you're raised there, that doesn't make you African. So, I would say to him, it's just, try to be a little bit more careful with what you say and how you say it, because, that's the thing nowadays is these younger guys and these newer guys that get up here and they just talk. They just, because they want to appeal to the fans, appeal to the people. But try to be more mindful, because 20 years from now, that's not going to age well.
And I know you said you like to take stock of things and you don't jump on them straight away, but what was your initial reaction after hearing that? Because it's quite jarring.
It was funny because I've actually trained with the guy. So it's like, bruh, how I get down. If it's one of those type of situations, how I get down. But, it's nothing like that. It's after, that first immediate, like, hey, are you serious? Because it sounded personal. Well, because he took direct shots. He mentioned, myself and Israel Adesanya, I believe. And it was like, bro, I actually kind of know you. And so, I think it was just, heat of the moment. He got up there, he's excited, he just got a big win, and he was just running off. But at the end of the day, the wiser side of me is like, okay, I understand what he was trying to say, but bro, that doesn't make you more African.
Thank you.
So that's kind of the dynamic. And I think this conversation is being had all over the place, not just between them. what is a nation, right? Let's start with South Africa. There's a lot of racial tension there. There's racial tension all over the world. In some places, there's really not that much, but in general, South Africa, has had its white versus black, racial tension to some extent. The white South African farmers, etc. But at the same time, how long have those people been there? How long have they been on the land? I'm not 100% familiar with the history, but a lot of people feel like Kamaru Usman. I like both of them, by the way, as fighters, as people. I think they're both dope. If you think that being African is a nation and has nothing to do with race, it's just living there and growing up there, then Dricus du Plessis is right. He was born and raised there. He's still there. He's going to bring the belt back there. That would make it more African. If you believe that a nation is more about race than ethnicity, then Kamaru Usman's right. People were saying in the comments that they don't think his China example was good. I think it was great. You don't have to believe it if you think that being African is a nation, but it's really a perfect example. Because say you were Chinese, right? And you move to America and you're American now. You're still always Chinese because Chinese is your race, where if you're white and you're born and raised in China, are you more Chinese? Well, I guess, yeah, if you think Chinese is a nation, but if you see it more as a race, then you're really not. And if you're white in China, you're always going to stick out a little bit. It doesn't mean you can't live there. It doesn't mean nobody's going to like you, but the nation of China is like 90-something% Chinese racially, and they're not trying to change that. They'll let you come over. You could be an immigrant. You could play basketball there, but they're not trying to change their demographics. They're China. They take pride in their race. Europe is an interesting one because Europe is shifting demographics very quickly. A lot of people go to Paris and they say Paris isn't Paris anymore. It's dirty. There's a bunch of homeless there. There's so many refugees and trash everywhere. And it doesn't feel like Paris. Well, why? I mean, France has nothing to do with culture, right? It just has to do with whoever lives there. This is where I feel like there's truth to what they're both saying. At the end of the day, a nation is a nation. It's where you're from. It's who you are. But there is a such thing as culture and race, and I think this is something that conservatives don't really understand yet, or maybe it's too edgy to talk about, or maybe they just want to be like, who cares? Because at the end of the day, on a personal level, yeah, who cares? Just treat everybody like a good person. I don't discriminate based on race in my personal life when it comes to people. It's just like, no, if you're a good person, I like you. If you're not, I don't like you just because you're the same color as me or the same ethnicity. If you're a piece of trash person with my ethnicity, I don't want to talk to you. And if you're a good person of another ethnicity, I do want to be friends with you. So that's how I operate in my personal life. But the truth is, it does also matter on a national scale, which nobody really wants to address. Let me give you an example. I don't care if you're from Nigeria or France, but France is like French and white for the most part, and Nigeria is mostly black. It doesn't mean you can't be white from Nigeria, and it doesn't mean you can't be black in France. But the truth is, if you switch the populations and bring 99% black people to France, the culture is going to change. And the oui, the thing that everybody goes to France for, I want to eat the bread and the baguettes, it's going to change because it's not everybody's culture. It's just the truth. You bring a lot of Hispanics in an area, there starts to be burritos popping up. Muslims take over Dearborn, the food starts turning into Middle Eastern stuff. The place is going to change based on the race of the people there. So it's already starting to shift in a lot of places in Europe. And people say, well, it doesn't matter. It's just a place. It kind of does matter because it's not going to be the same place if the people shift. So I see both sides of their argument. On one hand, I think Dricus du Plessis is right. He's more African. He lives in South Africa. He's born and raised there. He really is African and more African than someone's not. On one hand, I'm not even trying to play the fence, but I do see both sides of the argument. I get what Kamaru Usman is saying, where it's like, if you drop him off in China and he's born and raised in China, are you going to look at Kamaru Usman and say, oh, he's Chinese? You probably never will because he's super black and everybody in China is Chinese racially, so he's never quite going to be Chinese. This is just a conversation I'm having and bringing out to the open because a lot of people have it behind closed doors, and it's something that it's not easy to have. And also, Americans, I think, are, I wouldn't say naive to it, but it's like America's like a great melting pot or whatever they try to call it. And it's like everybody's from somewhere. It's a newer nation. It hasn't been around for a long time. But the truth, in my opinion, is your country, your state, your city, your community, it's a net sum of the people there. And if the net sum of the people there changes in any sort of way, your culture is going to change, your country's going to change, your nation's going to change, your laws are going to change. That's just the reality of it. So, I don't mind having these conversations because I'm not hateful about it, but I think they both have a point. And I think a lot of people want to say that Kamaro's wrong, you know, because he's not really living in Africa, which is true if you see it as a nation. But, you know, every nation will change just like they all have historically. Every empire falls, every empire changes. It's not like, you know, the same people that ran the world 500 years ago and, you know, it's like the same exact country. Things have changed. America's new, etc. Something to talk about, you know, because I see it. People are like, oh, it doesn't matter. It's like, well, London in 100 years isn't going to be like, you're not going to go to London to be like, oh, there's a bunch of white people in pubs and like, you know, soccer games. Like maybe they'll still like soccer, but some things are going to change. It's not going to be what you thought of England. Like when you thought of England 1950s, you're thinking of a certain thing. England, Italy, Germany, China, Japan. What if you went to Japan and there's no Japanese people there? It's all like white people. Is that still Japan? I mean, maybe technically. You get what I'm saying? It just is. It's not a hateful thing. It's just reality. It's like, oh, I'm in South Korea and there's a bunch of like Indians here. It's all Indians. Like, why? I don't know. They just had a lot of immigration and all the South Korean people got displaced or something. And now it's like, you think it's going to be the same South Korea as it was 80? Of course it's not. So, you know, I think everybody has a right to have this conversation and everybody has a right to really think about it, because whether you think about it or not, it's happening. And when things change, things are going to change for you. And whether you want it or not, it will happen. It is happening. So, you know, something to really just have a combo about. But, you know, is what it is. I thought it was an interesting back and forth. Here's what I want to play this clip real quick before I move on. This is Usman talking about, you know, I'm going to go to London, and he mentions about how the demographics are changing. He's like, is it really an away game for me? He's like, half of it's Nigerian. Take a watch.
You're entering enemy territory to try reclaim the welterweight title.
Am I?
I know there's a big Nigerian
This is London. They love me here. And it's half Nigeria. I'm home.
Well, are you relishing silencing those fans that will be booing you on Saturday night?
Boos or cheers, doesn't matter. I don't pay attention to the crowd. I never really did.
I just thought it was funny. They were like, you know, you're gonna be fighting in England. It's away territory. He's like, is it though? You know, half of London will probably like me. Just interesting. Someone said South Africa is mostly white. No, I understand, but I'm not coming to tell South Africans that you are an African, right? That's a battle for you. I'm not from South Africa. It's not my culture. It's not my battle. I understand, but you know, this is a conversation being had in Africa also among the Northerners, the Southerners. You know, there's been a lot of, you know, attacks over the last couple of years. I don't know if they slowed down, but the, you know, white South African farmer attacks that the media didn't want to talk about, there is some sort of, you know, conversation and power dynamic going on. I'm not trying to tell you who you are. I'm just bringing it up. I think it's worth talking about, not ignoring, because it could be ignored, but it's happening anyway. I want to read this real quick, and this is like the bonus. I got a few just like random extra things. So I just want to walk you through kind of my day, because I go on social media, and the reason I've been telling people I think it's a false paradigm is because every day I just watch people in the Republican Party tweet things that they don't actually do, mean, say, or execute when they have power. Let me start with this real quick. And, you know, I just want to show you, this is what Kevin McCarthy tweeted. He wrote, "Reminder, inflation is made in Washington from too much government spending. It was true when Jimmy Carter was president in 1978, and it's true today." So this is Kevin McCarthy saying, inflation is from government spending. Don't get it twisted. And he played a Milton Friedman clip, which was pretty cool. So here's the clip that Kevin McCarthy shared on his Twitter.
Inflation is made in Washington because only Washington can create money. And any other attribution to other groups of inflation is wrong. Consumers don't produce it. Producers don't produce it. The trade unions don't produce it. Foreign sheiks don't produce it. Oil imports don't produce it. What produces it is too much government spending and too much government creation of money and nothing else.
So a few things. I'm glad Kevin McCarthy shared that. I think it's true. I think Milton Friedman's like a libertarian hero to some extent. And I'm glad that somebody in government is willing to tell the truth about that, because you're not going to hear that from the left. Here's why the Republican Party annoys me so much. They're acting as if they didn't print a lot of money. If you look at Donald Trump, he added, I think, like 9 or 7 trillion to the deficit. He runs, oh, I'm going to fix the deficit. he made it much worse. I think it's $7 trillion in deficit. He printed, it was hard for me to even look up the numbers. Biden printed so much money. It's hard to even trace how much money he spent in 2021. Biden's is a disaster. But Trump, and when McCarthy and McConnell and Pelosi and whoever these losers are in the Senate and the House, they printed so much money when they were in power. So this is the part that's annoying. It's like they talk to us like they're libertarians, but they govern like socialists and communists. Kevin McCarthy, which omnibus bill did you shut down? Did you shut down the 2017 omnibus bill? Did you shut down the 2018 omnibus bill? Did you stop spending in 2019? All Republicans do is spend. And then they sit there and share Milton Friedman things, and everyone goes, oh yeah, when we win office, we're really going to cut the spending. Are you though? It's like, what, Biden spends 10 trillion, you're going to spend 9 trillion? Like, that's the cut? So this is why I rail at Republicans so much. It's not because they don't talk good, but they talk like us, and then they govern like Democrats. And it didn't change under Trump. But then I'm supposed to sit here and believe that he's Milton Friedman now? Has he said a word about the CARES Act? Has he said a word about the COVID money printing? No. They don't even care. It's ridiculous. On that note, I want to play this clip because it was going viral again. It's really creepy because Dr. Birx, Anthony Fauci, and Donald Trump are all on stage, and they're basically like gleeful. You know, people were pointing this out on Twitter that Birx and, Fauci just look so happy when they're shutting the government down. But, nobody wanted to point out, of course, that Trump's also standing there smiling because, like, every account has to play stupid or something besides me. It's like, oh, look at Birx. It's like, is there anyone else on that stage here? You could watch the clip. You tell me.
I just wanted to read. There's an answer to this.
Oh yeah. Go ahead, Tony. He was my mentor, so I'm going to have to let him speak.
The small print here, it's really small print. In states with evidence of community transmission, bars, restaurants, food courts, gyms, and other indoor and outdoor venues where groups of people congregate should be closed.
So, Mr. President, are you telling governors in those states then to close all their restaurants?
Well, we haven't said that yet.
So that's just a video is going viral again on Twitter today because people were like, look how happy Birx and Fauci are. Like, they're smiling like psychopaths. But Trump's also standing there with a smile. But this is the game that every other right-wing influencer plays. They just have to act stupid. It's like it's an invisible space there. They don't even see who it was. If Biden was smiling, the headline would be Biden, Fauci, and Birx. But if Trump's there smiling, it doesn't even exist, right? That's the game we're going to play for the next 2 years. I want to show you something that somebody had tagged me in, and I found it interesting. And I fact-checked it to make sure it was true. So somebody named 15 Pounds to Go on Twitter, they printed something out, and he said, Trump awarded presidential commendations to Milley, Fauci, and Birx on his last day in office, when he should have been releasing Spygate docs. Is this included on Milley's chest of medals? Does it appear in any of Fauci's many framed photos of himself? Because Fauci's got all those framed photos of himself. And he actually shows that on Trump's last day in office, this is after January 6th, when he, of course, wasn't helping any of his actual supporters, he gave a presidential commendation to General Milley, Secretary Alex Azar, who, of course, is the pharmacy lobbyist he put at the head of government, Jared Kushner, Dr. Monkeef Slaoui, who was the big Operation Warp Speed guy, and then Birx and Fauci. Trump is giving awards to Birx and Fauci on his last day of office. After all his supporters are in trouble, he's giving awards to Birx, Fauci, Alex Azar, and General Mark Milley, who he's also fighting. Oh yeah, is that what anti-establishment looks like? Is this the game I'm supposed to play for the next 2 years? That it's anti-establishment Donald Trump versus establishment DeSantis? When the anti-establishment guy did Operation Warp Speed and gave them medals for it on his last day of office, when his supporters are like drowning, looking for help. Here's somebody that I follow and like. I just want to show you just some more of the delusion that I'm putting up with every day. I'm like, I know what I'm saying is going to age like fine wine because I'm not a liar and I'm not just playing stupid. I like this person, by the way. I'm not bashing them. I just want to show you an article they wrote. His name's Darren Beatty. He interviews Trump all the time. He's a pretty straight shooter. He wrote, we shouldn't have to write this, but yes, Mike Pompeo sucks. And I guess he's making fun of the fact that Mike Pompeo lost a lot of weight or something with the Biggest Loser shirt on. And the whole point of this article is Mike Pompeo sucks. Let me say something first. I don't care about political attacks or whatever. I don't think you should make fun of somebody for losing weight. I don't like Mike Pompeo more than the next guy, but isn't it good that he's losing weight rather than getting fatter? If he's getting fatter and you make fun of him, it's like, yeah, you could lose some weight, but you're going to make fun of him for not being fat? Like we want him to be fat or something? I don't get it. But anyway, he's writing, Mike Pompeo sucks. And, I agree to a large extent. And that's Darren Beattie, who wants everybody to vote for Trump, basically. He's like, Trump's our guy, Trump's our guy. So I just comment in the comment section. I'm just trying to have a conversation. I'm like, so if Mike Pompeo sucks, right? Why should I vote for the guy who put Mike Pompeo in office for 2 to 3 years in one of the most powerful positions in the world? I mean, Secretary of State for America is one of the most powerful positions in the cabinet, and Trump put him there. So if you think Pompeo's so bad, why would you want me to vote for the guy that put him into power? Like, I'm trying to grasp these ideas, but I don't get it because everybody's just being fake and stupid. So then Darren says back to me, he says, well, who do you support? And I answered, who do I support? I mean, there's people I like, but I'm not endorsing anybody. I'm just simply asking, are people going to ask tough questions to this guy? Or are we just going to keep hitting our head on the pavement wondering why it's happening? It's not like well, if you don't pick Biden, you're going to pick Trump. And it's like, yeah, I get it. You got to vote for somebody. But it's just so weird to me. I literally don't understand it. And then Darren posts a thing and he says that he did an interview with Trump, a great interview. And he asked Trump why Trump didn't release more JFK files. Because everybody was hoping since Trump was a quote unquote outsider, he'd release JFK files, at least more than he did. And Trump admitted, or Darren Beattie got Trump to admit in the interview I watched, that it was Pompeo that quote unquote blocked him from releasing more files. And, Pompeo might speak nice on Fox News, but he's a super neocon, war hawk, establishment guy, former CIA director. Pompeo is as establishment and war hawk as it gets. He's like a Lindsey Graham. With that being said, he's a nice guy or something. He says nice things. But the point that I'm trying to get to is Darren saying Pompeo sucks and Pompeo blocked Trump from releasing JFK files. And if you read all the comments, everybody's asking, he doesn't have the power to block Trump. He's not the president. He didn't block anybody. It's just like Trump didn't do it. But when Trump doesn't do it, it's Pompeo's fault. Well, Pompeo's not the president. If Pompeo's the president, he can block his own files, but he really can't block Trump. Trump just listens to people. Fauci can't work for Trump. Trump listens to Fauci. Fauci can't give himself a stage at the White House. When you look at that video of Dr. Birx and Dr. Fauci on stage at the White House, you think they could just walk into the White House and do a press conference every day for 3 months? Of course not. No one cared. No. Did you see Dr. Fauci and Dr. Birx for the first 3 years of Trump's presidency anywhere? No. Do you know why? Because they can't just let themselves in Trump's house and do their own press conferences every day. Trump put them on a stage. He put them in an administration. He put them at the top of a task force. He gave them presidential medals. So at what point are we, the quote unquote journalist class, going to stop acting stupid? I don't care if people question DeSantis. I don't care if people don't like DeSantis. I don't care if people talk about his donors. And I don't care if people vote for Trump. But my honest question is how long are we going to play stupid? Well, he blocked him. He didn't block anything. Trump just didn't do it. Well, he told him. Well, then Trump's an idiot or something because he's always getting fooled by everybody. Well, this and that. It's like everybody's playing stupid. It's like, do people think if they just lie for 2 years on loop that it doesn't exist anymore? And these are my questions. And I figured out a solution or possibly a way to be a bigger solution than we're already trying to be. I think this is a solution to figure out who Trump and DeSantis really are. And if it's not me, I hope somebody that has the ability to interview them asks these questions. Who is Trump going to be and who is DeSantis going to be? That's the question mark, right? Well, who are they going to hire for their cabinet? We don't know yet. Is DeSantis going to hire a bunch of neocons and losers? Or is DeSantis going to hire outsiders like Joseph Ladapo? DeSantis has already proven that he has the ability to hire outsiders. I don't really see that in Trump's administration anywhere. With that being said, maybe Trump has learned his lesson, right? That's what I keep hearing. Even though you watch television, it doesn't seem like he's learned his lesson. He has no self-awareness, no self-accountability. He hasn't once admitted to anything he's ever done. He's just yelling at horse-faced Stormy Daniels like it's 2017. Nothing has changed, but I'm just supposed to assume as a voter, it's all going to change because all the proof is that it's not going to change. I don't believe that, but why doesn't somebody ask Donald Trump? Who are you going to put in your cabinet? Doesn't that show who he's going to be? Isn't that the question that provides the transparency that we deserve? Who is going to be your Secretary of State, Donald Trump? Is it going to be Mike Pompeo? Is it going to be Lindsey Graham? Is it going to be John Bolton? Or is it going to be, somebody that is more along the lines of America First? Ron DeSantis, who are you going to put as your Secretary of State? Are you going to put Jeb Bush, or are you going to put an outsider in the, America agenda? This is the only way we're going to know who they are, because until then, it's just like a WWE circus where everybody's just like, you need to just assume that it's going to go the way I think it's going to go because I want it to go that way, even though there's no signs of it going that way and it didn't go that way. I don't get it. Another thing that's interesting, that I'll bring up that I saw in the last couple of days is, I don't know if you guys know Chip Roy, but he seems like one of the more promising Congress members. He endorsed Ron DeSantis already. And a lot of people are pissed at Chip Roy because he endorsed Ron DeSantis. A lot of people were complaining because I was like, why do people like I basically asked my Twitter audience, why do you like Chip Roy and why don't you like Chip Roy? Because so far, I don't know much about him, but I like what I see from him. I think he seems like one of the better people in Congress. So I was like, tell me why I shouldn't like Chip Roy, because right now I do. And people said, well, he said something about Mike Pence on January 6th, like basically saying that he was fine with Pence, hitting the election, and that's why he's a traitor. And here's my opinion that I've had for 2 years. Two things. Ready? If you don't like Mike Pence, are you ever going to hold accountable the guy who hired Mike Pence? Mike Pence didn't win any office seats. Nobody voted for Mike Pence. I didn't vote for Mike Pence. You didn't vote for Mike Pence. So how did Mike Pence get there in the first place? Donald Trump hired him. So how in the world are you going to be mad at Chip Roy and Mike Pence, but not the guy who put him there? You didn't vote for Mike Pence. No one voted for Mike Pence. Donald Trump put him there. Are you going to just play stupid and say Trump has no accountability for choosing his own vice president? Like, this has become a movement of like victims that just nothing matters. He hired Pompeo. Pompeo's bad, but it's Pompeo's fault, not Trump's fault. Trump hired Mike Pence, but it's not Trump's fault for hiring Mike Pence. He put Fauci on TV for 2 months, but it's not his fault for doing that. He hired a pharmacy lobbyist in Jerome Adams to take over the government. So when they did that, it's not his fault. Like, that's the movement right now. It's a bunch of liars. It's like delusional, fake, phony. Like, if you're going to be mad at Chip Roy for that, you got to be mad at the guy who hired him. Chip Roy didn't hire Mike Pence. And I guarantee you, if Chip Roy was president, he'd hire somebody better than Mike Pence. Trump is this mega genius who just can't hire anybody good. And if you look at, DeSantis's camp, and I follow Cernovich, I don't always agree, but Cernovich is like, DeSantis hires people who actually like him. Trump hires people who hate him. That shows who Trump is. He's an idiot or something. Like, why are you hiring so many people who don't like you? I have multiple unpopular opinions coming. I think Trump did such a bad job of hiring that he's actually brainwashed people into thinking that it's not possible to hire better. Like, people make so many excuses. He had to do that. He had to do this. I think if somebody smarter came along and ran into office, it would destroy Donald Trump's entire presidency, because then people would realize that it's actually possible to hire people who don't hate you. It's actually possible to hire real outsiders. You don't have to hire Mitch McConnell's wife. You don't have to hire a pharmacy lobbyist. You don't have to hire Mike Pompeo, and you don't have to hire Mike Pence. Trump did such a bad job of hiring. I think he's actually frightened that somebody's going to come in and show everybody that it's actually possible to not do that, and it's going to make him look like an idiot. So he's gatekeeping his own failures. Like, you don't have to do all that stuff. He just did that, so now the MAGA movement thinks that's all you can do. Like, you got to put Mike Pence as a vice president. You actually don't. You don't. And if you do, then you're no better than Obama. I guess Obama had to start the war. Obama had to do the insurance. Obama had to listen to the bankers. Yeah, then he's just another puppet. He's a puppet who plays basketball. Trump's a puppet who tells jokes, okay? Is that your logic? Either he's an outsider or he's not. He's not. So, I don't think DeSantis is perfect. I don't trust DeSantis, but I think DeSantis will hire better than Trump because Trump hires terribly. Literally just close your eyes and point a finger and you'll end up hiring better than Donald Trump. He doesn't hire good. With that being said, on the Mike Pence thing, I don't like Mike Pence because to be honest, the number one thing that I don't like about Mike Pence is the same thing that I don't like about Trump's administration, which is all the lockdown COVID stuff. I think Pence is a career politician. I think Pence is just another guy. Like, he's a nice Christian guy or whatever, but he's not like a hero of America. He's just another guy, like another politician. He's a politician. He's a good politician, but he's a politician. I've never like obsessed over Mike Pence, but you know, he's a nice guy and he's better than Kamala Harris, I guess, or whatever. So I just have to preface it with this because I'm not going to be misconstrued as like, oh, I love Mike Pence. I don't. With that being said, I've never agreed with the fact that everybody just blamed everything on Mike Pence on January 6th because he didn't overturn the election. First of all, I understand what happened, but you want to win the other way. If you don't win that way, the plan was to win in court. The plan was not to wait until the last second and throw a Hail Mary to Mike Pence and have him do something that hasn't been done in hundreds of years that probably never would have worked anyway. It never made sense to me ever. Like, the things that Mike Pence did wrong, I could name 100 of them, but you're blaming him because nothing worked from November to January. All the court cases failed. The Supreme Court case failed. I wanted those to go through. I wanted there to be more evidence. I wanted the courts to overturn it. I never thought Mike Pence had the power to overturn it. It doesn't even make sense. Mike Pence has the power to overturn it. Should Kamala Harris overturn the election? It's what a bunch of babies do when you're desperate to get the outcome that you want and it's not coming, so you throw a Hail Mary. It's 4th and 100. There's no chance of winning, so you throw a Hail Mary and then you blame Mike Pence. And I don't even like Mike Pence. I'm just saying that narrative never made sense to me because I'm not a hysterical, delusional baby. I don't like him. I'm just saying, like, you try everything and then you're just like, it's all his fault. It's just as much other people's fault for not taking steps earlier to figure out how to make the election better. Let me give you one example. And I'm going to break down statistics real quick because a lot of people don't realize how close elections are. Let's go to a place that elections are not that close, like 60-40. Oh my gosh, the Democrats win. Think about what that means on a street. That means 6 out of every 10 people votes Democrat. 4 out of every 10 people votes Republican. Even in a 20-point massive landslide election, guys, that's not that big of a difference. 6 out of it, like, oh, Los Angeles must be filled with Democrats. Kind of, but also 4 out of every 10 people in Los Angeles vote Republican. It's not that big of a landslide. Now you go to these states that are always really close, like Florida, like Pennsylvania. No matter who wins, it's like 50.3 or 50.4 to 40, you know, it's very, or 48 point something to 52 point something. It's a very close election. What does that mean? That means that 5.2 out of every 10 people votes Republican and 4.8, you get what I'm saying? It's such a close equation in these states. So now here's what I'm going to say. From 2016 to 2020, I saw them rigging algorithms. We all saw them rigging social media. They were kicking people off. I don't see the Trump administration as this massive victim when for 4 years we were all screaming that they were going to try to steal this stuff through the manipulation of the internet. They kicked off some of Trump's biggest supporters. They kicked off Milo. They kicked off Alex Jones. They pretty much jailed Julian Assange. You know what I'm saying? Now, the chances of you winning are getting smaller anyway because it's all an algorithm. If you win Pennsylvania by this small of a margin and the social media companies and the media can change that margin by this percent, which they have the power to with algorithms, they can make $1 billion in sale tomorrow. They have everybody's data. They can cut my reach by 25%, cut the reach of the Hodge twins, DC Drano. They have these equations in their head of if we just dial back conservatives this much and we push, they could get $100 million worth of ads for free just off of social media algorithm manipulation. You can find videos of me talking about this in 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, and 2020. We were all talking about it. Alex Jones got kicked off in 2018. A lot of people got kicked off in 2018. And 2020, they clamped down under the guise of COVID. So now, where was the Trump administration, the Republican Party? They didn't care about it until it was too late. So all I'm saying is, yes, there's other things that happen, but can we have accountability and say, hey, maybe we should have looked into the social media rigging like 3 years ago? Because by the time we started caring about it when Jim Jordan got kicked off Twitter, it's already too late. They only cared about it when it happened to them. They didn't care when it happened to their biggest supporters. But you can't win an election without the grassroots. 2016, Donald Trump won because everything wasn't rigged. You get what I'm saying? Social media wasn't that rigged in 2016, so it allowed Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump to get a huge following. Now, after Donald Trump won, they used Russia collusion as an excuse to take away pretty much everything that gave Donald Trump a slight edge. Obviously, COVID had something to do with it, but the point that I'm getting to is strategically, I don't see the Republican administration as this massive victim of something that they never cared about because they're so like above it until Jim Jordan got kicked off. The first time I ever saw Republicans even speak about this stuff like it actually mattered and they actually were thinking about doing something is when Jim Jordan and Matt Gaetz got shadow banned. Way too late. You're waiting way too long, way too late. And then same with all the COVID, all of this censorship and stuff. It's like, this is going to change the election, okay? You buy ads to reach people. If they can manipulate the reach of 100 million people and shift the scales like that, you think that's not going to impact the election? So I see that the Republicans fell into the ditch and then they're like, why am I in here? It's like you jumped in it. You did 15 days to slow the spread. You extended the lockdowns. You told Georgia's Governor Kemp to stay locked down. Do you bear no responsibility for mass mail-in ballots? Do you bear no responsibility for rigged algorithms? Do you think that you can afford to do this? Like people, I would watch interviews and they'd be like, oh, we'll win anyway. It's like, I like the optimism, but if you're only winning a state by like 40,000 votes and they're rigging this much, you're not going to win that state. I understand like some people just think it's all voting and like I've heard people that say all 50 states were stolen. We won all 50 states. No, you didn't. Okay. You think Democrats don't exist because you live in a Twitter algorithm with people who agree with you? Sorry, Democrats exist. They run California. They run San Francisco. They run Los Angeles. Half your family's Democrats in some of these cases. Like this is the point that I'm trying to make is very clear. In order to fix a problem in politics, we have to accurately look at it and figure out how to change it. It's hard for me to work with people that'll say, oh, the Democrats stole all 50 states and it's Mike Pence's fault because he didn't do something at the last second. If that's your idea of a solution, I think of somebody that's down 10 points and the ref makes one call and then you punch the ref in the face and say it's the ref's fault. I look at you like a giant baby that's not actually trying to fix the problem. I'm not saying that Democrats are playing fair ball. Obviously, there should be identification. I don't think they should count for 5 days. I'm all with people of how to make it more fair, but there's certain people that have millions of followers. They'll be like, oh, we won all 50 states. And it's like, and people actually believe that because they live in a cat turd algorithm. You know what I'm saying? All they get is El Donaldo Trumpo and their whole world, they're brainwashed like a leffer, where it's like, bro, Democrats absolutely exist. These states that you're winning, you're barely winning. And these states that we're losing, we're not even losing that much. 60-40, say the election with a Democrat, Gavin Newsom, it's 60-40. That's a huge gap, right? 60-40, 20 points. It's 6 out of every 10 people versus 4 out of every 10 people. It's actually not that, even a DeSantis win, like it's a lot more than it used to be, but these things can change. Look at Georgia, look at Texas. Like they're starting to go Democrat. They are. And if you live in Texas, you could see that, yes, there's a lot of conservatives. There's a lot of baked in Texas energy, but you can also see that liberals are also moving to your state. They're moving to Austin. They're moving from California. A lot of the teachers are liberal. Liberals exist. So I'm not saying you have to agree with them, but I feel like a lot of Republicans, their message is like, we win everything. We don't have to change anything. And we're going to win everything as long as everything. It's like, that's not true. It's very close. Texas is getting way too close. And the reason nothing changes is because people don't address the actual issue. I mean, now they're starting to in the schools, etc. But if you're winning Pennsylvania by 0.3%, they can quote unquote steal that election with an algorithm change. They could shift the minds of the masses with a social media ban and change those votes quicker than they could with the ballots. I'm not saying that you can't look at those other parts. You can, but it's like no one talks about what I just talked about. And I watch interviews and they're like, are you worried about this? And they're like, no, we're not worried. I'm like, that's what they're doing, with social media, with Instagram, with Facebook, with YouTube. So I'm just saying, as somebody that likes to take accountability for things, I want to see a leader and a party that takes accountability from it. I'm not playing this stupid game with the left-right thing anymore. Like, Kevin McCarthy's going to tweet Milton Friedman, and Kevin McCarthy's going to try to convince me that the Republican Party is filled with libertarians. Guys, they printed more money. They never stop an omnibus bill, but I'm just supposed to believe as a news analyst and a voter, even though it's never happened, next time they get in, they're really going to stop the spending. Trump was already in office. Kevin McCarthy was already in power. They didn't stop any omnibus bill. They didn't stop any COVID spending, and they left the deficit from $6 to $9 trillion bigger than it was. But now, because Kevin McCarthy tweets a Milton Friedman thing, I'm supposed to believe he's Milton Friedman, and it's my fault for just not playing along. I'm done playing along. They're fake. When Darren Beattie tweets something about Pompeo sucking, sure, I'll agree with you. But then why would I vote for the guy that hired Mike Pompeo? And why is it my responsibility to ignore that when nobody wants to ask him real questions about it? Why doesn't everybody say Trump? Anomaly and millions of people want to vote for you, but they don't trust you because your cabinet sucked last time, Trump. Your cabinet sucked. Your hire sucked. So who are you? Are you the innocent victim who got duped and fooled? Or are you just as fake as the people you hire? Figure it out, because if you're the real one and you're going to hire better, then I would vote for you. I would vote for Trump if he said, I've learned my lesson. I've changed. I'm not going to hire Mike Pompeo. I'm not going to hire Mitch McConnell's wife. And I'm not going to hire pharmacy lobbyists. But the proof is showing that he's going to, because when he got out of office, he didn't use the hundreds of millions of dollars he raised for January 6th. How much money did January 6ers get from the money Trump raised off their backs? Nothing. And when he's getting out of office, or barely anything, he's giving presidential commendation medals to General Milley, Alex Azar, Jared Kushner, Deborah Birx, and Anthony Fauci. That's what he's doing, giving them medals. It's my responsibility to say the guy who's giving Anthony Fauci awards is going to change next time, even though he has no signs of changing? No, it's Darren Beattie's job, my job, and other journalists' job to ask him the question, because I'm not voting for the guy unless he proves he's going to hire better people. There's no signs of him hiring better people, just a bunch of people wiping his butt saying he's going to change now, even though there's no signs of it. Show me then. Do an interview and ask him a real question. Who are you going to put at the head of HHS? Are you going to put another pharmacy lobbyist and give them medals? Or are you going to put an outsider? Because if you're not going to put an outsider, I'd rather roll the dice with DeSantis, who hired an outsider for Surgeon General. That's my choice as a voter. I'm not playing stupid anymore. And my vote is still up for grabs. It's just, if you don't ask the questions, I don't have to just play dumb forever. Someone said you're ranting and not thinking. You're typing and not listening. Brenda, appreciate you for being here. I'm thinking about exactly what I'm saying. They just want you to believe it's going to be different with no signs of being different. When Tucker Carlson goes on television and says, or goes on a podcast and says, I made a mistake. I shouldn't have been a neocon. I shouldn't have been a warmonger. And I realized that the media system is corrupt and I was a part of it. You know what I do? I respect Tucker Carlson, because you know what he did? He just told the truth about mistakes he made. Donald Trump keeps lying all the time. He doesn't say, oh, I shouldn't have hired this person. He's a giant victim. It's your fault. It's your fault. It's your fault. He takes no accountability, has no humility, no self-awareness, no self-accountability. I'm not voting for him until he says, you know what? Here's the mistakes I made in the first 4 years. Here's why I'm going to be better. You know what he's doing instead of? Karen Trump is trying to stop DeSantis from running. His super PAC is filing to try to kick DeSantis out of the race. Trump is no better than Democrats. He's crying because he thinks he's going to lose. He can't beat DeSantis, so he's trying to kick him out of the race and be like, oh, he's doing violations. He's violating a code. He's like a Democrat trying to stop Trump from running. I want Trump and DeSantis to run. I'm not trying to stop Trump from running. Oh, he had classified materials, so now he can't run. I've always said, I want Trump to win or lose by his own merit. I don't want to block him from running, but Karen Trump is trying to block DeSantis from running because he's such a baby. He's such a bad person. He takes no accountability. He doesn't look at anything he's done like, yeah, I should have hired better people. It's like, it's everyone else's fault. It's Steve Bannon's fault. It's this person's fault. It's his fault. It's that fault. Dude, he's going to turn around one day and there's going to be no one there but a bunch of like drooling fanboys that are like, rabid. So I'm thinking very clearly. It's just hilarious because every day I wake up and I just ask basic questions. It's like, oh, Pompeo's bad. Okay, Pompeo's bad, right? We agree. Why should I vote for the guy who hired him? I can't get an answer. People have no answers. They don't think. I'm thinking, okay? We're bringing the truth to a movement that's gotten fake and delusional and just very comfortable with being ignorant. Someone said, even if a Republican gets in, Democrats screw us up too much and they still borrowing money. Yeah, but in my opinion, I feel like Kevin McCarthy and people like that, and even Trump, they're just good at selling you. It's like they're a Democrat in a cowboy hat. Like, oh, let's put a cowboy hat on so then Republicans like us. You know what I'm saying? Like, here, I'll do my Republican impression. It's like, here, ready? My blue hat from dreamrare.com. This is my Democrats. Ready? Hey guys, we're going to print trillions. We're the Democratic Party. We're going to print trillions of dollars. We're going to increase the deficit. And, we're just going to be psychotic. And here's the Republicans like Kevin McCarthy. Howdy, y'all. We're just like you, Sarah Huckabee Sanders. Yucca, yucca, yucca. I know I'll be more relatable to you. So what we're going to do is we're going to pretend to not print money, but then we're going to print the money just like the Democrats. We're going to say we're going to fix the deficit, but we're actually going to raise the deficit by like $9 trillion. And then we're going to sell a bunch of vaccines and do vaccine socialism. And then we're going to go to South Dakota and tell you that America's never going to be a socialist nation while we're literally making it a socialist nation. And I know the Democrats don't even have to fight us because we're in on it. That's the difference. It's not the Democrats are going to push the Republicans to do that. The Republicans are the Democrats. Trump is the Democrat. Kevin McCarthy is the Democrat. They're like, Democrats don't pretend to do it. Republicans just pretend. Like, Democrats aren't saying, oh, we're going to fix the deficit. They're just like, we're not going to fix the deficit. We're just going to print money and help people. And then the Republicans are like, we're going to fix it. They're not going to fix it. They have no plans to fix it. They hope you think they're going to fix it, so you just keep running in a circle. It's been 40 years. Both parties are captured by the banks. Both parties are captured by Big Pharma. But it's going to change next time. And the whole reason it never changes is because the Republican Party thinks it's going to change. And the Democratic Party thinks it's going to change. So they just go back and forth like a ping pong ball. Boing, 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 boing. Well, George Bush is corrupt. Obama's going to save me. Boing. Well, Obama's corrupt. But it's going to be Donald Trump's going to save me. Boing. Oh my gosh, Donald Trump, orange man, bad. Biden's going to save me. Boing. Donald Trump didn't do it next time, before more years, so do it this time. Boing. You're going to be bouncing back for 50 years. I'm trying to save you 50 years of disappointment and poverty. I'm not saying literal poverty, but economic turmoil is a better word. Someone said, can you say uniparty? People still, the Democrats don't have to force the Republicans to do things because they just do it. Republicans sign every omnibus bill. Republicans are proud of the CARES Act. Me and Thomas Massey think the CARES Act was the biggest scam in modern history, and the CARES Act was the most socialist communist exchange of wealth in modern history. That's what we think. If you watch a Republican event, Tim Scott tells you how great it was. Donald Trump tells you how great it was. Sarah Huckabee Sanders tells you how great it. They're not even ashamed of their socialism. They just don't say it's socialism. That's one of the scammiest, most evil, most wealth exchangey bills in modern history, the CARES Act. And the Republican Party is not standing there saying, hey, in hindsight, we shouldn't have done that. We shouldn't have locked down. We shouldn't have done all this because that imploded the economy and made inflation inevitable. They just sit there tweeting Milton Friedman freaking videos and pretending like they're going to be libertarian when they just had office 2 to 3 years ago and they were full-blown socialist. It's so obvious at this point, but people don't get it because they're getting brainwashed. Just like the left wing gets brainwashed by a bunch of dummies like Rachel Maddow and The View, and they just sit and just smell their own poop all day and they think it smells like roses. And that's how they're getting brainwashed, because they just sit and listen to the same people over and over, sounding smart, even though they're stupid. So Democrats are brainwashed because everybody's lying to them in unison. The The Republican Party's turning into the same thing. Slightly better, but you just have hundreds of influencers lying to you in unison. Fox News, Newsmax, lying to you in unison, giving you half-truths, telling you what you want to hear, fear-mongering, but not even providing a real solution, and telling you that if Republicans get back in, they're going to fix the problem because it was just Democrats, even though they know damn well the Republicans did it too 2 to 3 years ago when they had power, and they'll do it again. So Republicans are brainwashed too, just in a different way. You're brainwashed into this false dichotomy that once you get back power, that it's all going to change because the Democrats are doing it. But if you look at the evidence, the Republicans are also doing it proudly. It's not like a forced thing. They're proud of it. They're proud of the CARES Act. They're proud of Operation Warp Speed. You could find videos of Donald Trump saying, I did the vaccine. I'm the one who did it. Don't let the Democrats take credit for it. We should take credit for it, MAGA. It should be the MAGA vaccine. We should all take credit for it. And then I say, oh, it's Donald Trump's vaccine. And people go, oh my God, anomaly, I hate you. Oh my God, oh my God. And I'm like, dude, listen to your leader. I didn't make this up. It's not like Trump's sitting in a corner and I'm throwing a vaccine in his hand saying it's your vaccine. He's on television all the time saying it's my vaccine. It's our vaccine. Don't give it to the Democrats. I did it. I rushed the FDA. I funded them. I'm the father of the vaccine. And I simply say, I guess it's his vaccine. People start acting like freaking animals at a zoo to me. They're like freaking drooling, screaming, freaking out, threatening me, blackmailing me, like seriously, this is what I've dealt with for the 2 years. They're and it's like, dude, I'm not making this up. I'm not saying, oh, it's Donald Trump's vaccine. He said it 100 times. I'm just repeating what he's saying. He wants credit for it. So I gave him credit. And now it's my fault for doing what Donald Trump said because you want to ignore reality because you like him so much. You're in a cult. You're brainwashed. You have like some demonic religion where you've like fell in love with an orange vaccine salesman. It's psychotic. And I'm tired of psychopaths that hate themselves freaking out at me all the time. Like, I get it. You know what I'm saying? You're living vicariously through the vaccine salesman. It hurts your feelings when I say it. You know, people like literally threatening me and blackmailing me, be like, oh, you're calling him the vaccine salesman. Just wait till they hear about this anomaly. I'm like, that's what you're mad at me over for saying what Trump wants credit for? So you're a bigger Trump supporter because you don't give him credit for what he wants credit for, because you know that it's bad, but Trump doesn't know that it's bad. So you're smarter than your leader. He's just stupid, or he's faking, or it's 5D chess. It's a psychotic, deranged, brainwashed movement at this point. I want nothing to do with it. It's psychotic. It's insane. I'm happy. You're so pessimistic. I believe in God. Jesus Christ. I don't believe in freaking vaccine salesmen. People like freaking out, freaking drooling on themselves. Like, I'm optimistic and happy because I don't place my faith in people who sell vaccines. I believe in God. And I believe that God gave me the ability to reach for my dreams. So I wake up happy every day. What can I tell you? Someone said, MG, it's not a uniparty. People just forgot that the Republican Party is and always will be neocon. I mean, all of this is changeable, though. It's just people have to figure out what's going on. It's not that hard. I'm not someone, people make up fake stories about me like, Anomaly's so pessimistic. You think I'm pessimistic because you created a fake demonic religion around a guy selling vaccines and you believe in him more than you believe in Jesus. That's why you're freaking out. But if you rationally look at what I'm saying, I'm not here saying, like, there are people that are like, we're so screwed. Oh my gosh. Like, you know, I'm not doing that. I'm just like, I don't think we're screwed. I actually think the solution's really easy. First of all, I think regardless of who's in office, you got to be the best version of yourself. It doesn't matter. So if you look at things that way, you can be very happy. But if you want to know my political solution, you just have to address this stuff and all of it will change. Like, it's like you're part of the equation. You're not just a spectator. So if the base realizes this and 80% of the base figures out what I'm saying because it's blatantly obvious. I mean, it's not like I created it. Should I write a book about it or something and pretend like I made it up? It's called reality. I'll just write, here's my book, Reality, and you open it and it's just a blue sky. In general, if the base figures this out, the politicians and the policy will shift in the right direction. If you like fantasize about all of these things happening because you don't want to face reality, you're just going to be caught on the hamster loop. The solution is so simple. Like, Here's what would change everything. We could lie for 2 years about who or Trump and DeSantis are going to be and say I'm 100% sure. Here's how you know for sure. At people who interview Trump and people who interview DeSantis, copy me. I'm giving you permission to copy me, take all of my ideas, and give me zero credit, okay? I'm giving you permission. Take this idea and don't credit me. I don't care. I just want somebody to ask the question. Ask Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis, who is your cabinet going to be? You could talk trash. You shut down this. You shut down this. You hang with Lindsey Graham. You hang with George Bush, Jeb Bush. Yeah, but who's your cabinet going to be, Donald Trump? Who are you going to put as Secretary of State? Who are you thinking about putting? And same with Ron DeSantis. Are you going to hire neocons or outsiders? Are you going to hire Goldman Sachs people or libertarians? Are you going to hire pharmacy lobbyists or doctors outside the system? Because that's going to show who they are. And Trump hired all establishment people the first time. So if he's going to be anti-establishment this time, that means his cabinet's going to be anti-establishment. There's no signs because nobody asks real questions in journalism. Nobody has asked him this question, and nobody asked DeSantis this question. That's the question that's going to save people 2 years of fake fighting and false paradigms is who are you going to hire and why? Why did you hire a pharmacy lobbyist? Was it because he was the best person for the job? Or did he pay you off? Why is Pete Buttigieg the Secretary of Transportation? Is it because he knows how to ride a bicycle with his husband? Or is Pete Buttigieg the Secretary of Transportation because he did the Democrats a favor and then they did him a favor right back? Why did Trump hire Mitch McConnell's wife to run the Secretary of Transportation? Was it because Mitch McConnell's wife is the best person for the job? Or is Trump doing a favor back to Mitch McConnell? These are questions you can ask. Who are you going to put in these positions and why? Why are you putting a pharmacy lobbyist? Why did you put Mike Pompeo? Do you think he's the best for the job? Okay, fine. But is that why these people get these positions? Some of them, maybe, but I don't think a pharmacy lobbyist gets a job because he's good at regulating big pharma. I think a pharmacy lobbyist gets the job because they pay off the politicians and then the politicians give them what they paid for. I think that's what's happening. Can I not say that now because it hurts your feelings? No, Anomaly, you're only allowed to say that lobbyists exist if the Democrats are doing it. But if the Republicans do it, I don't want to hear about it because I love them. I went to Team USA and Ted Cruz told me that I was going to be a senator someday. And when you say he's not going to do it, I want him to do it. I poop my pants. Like, is that the world we live in now? I can only say it's happening to the Democratic Party, but if I suggest it's happening to Republicans, I can't do that because you like Trump too much. It's all of them but him. It's not him. I mean, there's evidence that it was him for 4 years, and he actually was there, and it did happen. But I don't want to hear it. It's like that's what I have to deal with every day of my life. I want to start an MMA channel and just do reactions to MMA because I'm tired of like 40-year-olds acting like 10-year-olds. It's pathetic. It's like it hurts your feelings to know that hundreds of millions of dollars get dumped into the president that you like. I'm sorry. Did Obama people act like this? I don't know. It's like Obama got lobbied. No, Obama didn't get lobbied. I love Obama. He said change is going to come and he listens to Beyonce and Kendrick Lamar. And Obama plays basketball, so there's no way he could sell out because I like him so much. It's like, well, he did sell out. I'm sorry. You know, like, that's like Trump supporters. Like, I'm a Trump. I mean, he said the swamp and the snake story, and I caught a head, and it can't. It's like, I'm sorry. I have Trump merchandise too, but it sucks. He just wasn't who I thought he was, and if he's going to be who I thought he could be, he's got to show signs of it because right now he doesn't and nobody asks him the question. I don't know. Like, it's not even healthy for people to like somebody this much. It's nice to be nice though. It's like Elvis vibes, you know, which is fine, but it's like when Elvis used to come in, he used to be like, hey pretty lady, he'd like move his leg a little bit and women would be like, oh my gosh, Elvis, you know, like literally like millions of women just like pass out. Like Elvis just like, you know, he'd just shake a little bit and people are like, oh, you'd have to like wake him up. You're like, Becky, wake up, come on, you got to sew my shoes. It's the 1940s, you can't work and you can't even, you know. She's like, can I vote? You're like, hell no, go back. You can't be watching his legs shake like that. But in general, you know, it's like, that's how people treat Trump. It's like an Elvis. I'm not, it's not like I don't want you to like somebody, but it's like, in politics, it would be helpful if people were reasonable with like understanding that certain things were happening. Someone said, I'm having what you had, a burrito and a coffee. That's it. Nothing else. It's all natural energy here. Brought to you by Pfizer. I got 3 booster shots. I'm feeling good. I'm actually not dancing. I'm just I'm convulsing from my no, I'm just kidding. Someone said you're the only one that cares. It's so crazy to me though, because I'm like trying to piece it together and put it together, and I feel like I'm living in a stupid movie where I'm like just asking simple questions and people are like, what? It's just like a NPC world. I wish I could make more coffee right now. Any cocaine in the coffee? LOL. No. I'm just trying to have fun. Someone said we have 2.2 trillion in circulation in the US and the deficit is like 2.8 trillion. How do we even pay that back? I don't think they're ever going to pay the deficit back. Like, Republicans pretend like they're going to and they never do, and Democrats have just like gone past even pretending to pay it off. We're not going to pay off the deficit, but also if you look at the money printed, I want to say like 40% of all dollars were printed in 2020 or something. And then once Biden started printing money, it was like 80%. Like, more dollars were printed in the last couple of years than in all of US history combined. And then they're like, I wonder why inflation's coming. All the experts said it's not coming. And then Republicans were like, it's Biden inflation. It's both parties. Republicans printed 40% of all something along these lines. I don't know the exact stats. 40% of all dollars printed in U.S. history in 2020. And you think inflation wasn't going to come? And then Slosif Biden gets in office and prints a shitload more money. And then the Republicans say, inflation, oh, it's Biden's fault. And then Biden's like, oh, we didn't see it coming. And Janet Yellen's like, oh, I'm Janet Yellen. I'm an old wrinkly lady who for some reason they put in charge of all the money. But it's anti-Semitic to say that I am in charge of the money. That is hate speech. And it's like, they're all playing stupid. It's like Janet Yellen, Kevin McCarthy, you all did it. You didn't know inflation was going to come. You print 40, 50, 60, 70, 80% of all money ever printed ever in modern history. You print in 2 years. Hundreds of years of U.S. history. You print more money in 2 years than has ever been printed from the Federal Reserve. And you didn't know inflation was going to come? They're full of shit. They're full of shit. It's so obvious. It's so freaking obvious. My friend, he's like, how did you know this without being in finance? I was in finance for 20 years. You don't need a finance degree to know this stuff, but it helps. But it's like, what? Someone said Sticks didn't know. He still doesn't know. But this is the problem with party politics. When you're like, oh, but I like Trump, so it doesn't matter. It's like, people are like, I like Team Red. I like Team Blue. You know, it's like, and then they're both on the ground, and like the Federal Reserve's like, these people just keep fighting over trans bathrooms. I'm not saying it's not important if your kid goes to school or something, but like in general, like I'm not even having those fights. Yes, I'm not saying it's not important, but you get what I'm saying? It's like, I'm not going to fight about trans bathrooms for 20 years when they're printing all this money. You can, I'm not going to stop you. I'm not going to call it hate speech. If your kid is being like sexualized by a, obese, like blue teacher, then yeah, that's your responsibility. But as far as like, this like fake false paradigm fight every day. They're like, did you see what Obama did? Obama? Oh, you like Obama, huh? You're racist? Oh, you're racist? You're like Obama? What about George Bush? Oh, Bush? What about Donald Trump? Oh, Trump? What about Biden? Oh, Kamala? It's like, I'm over. I've been over it, you know? It's like, can you believe what Kamala Harris did? I mean, she just like did that thing with her hair. Oh, Kamala. Oh, you think Michelle Obama's pretty? Look at Melania Trump. Melania's the prettiest president ever. I mean, she's gorgeous. Jill Biden's ugly. Look at her ugly dresses. Yeah, I'm gonna fight over how hot Melania Trump is for 20 years and how well she dresses and how bad. Yeah, Jill Biden dresses like like you just let a 5-year-old in a closet. Like, put on whatever you want. It's like she thinks she's a fairy or something. But this is like the level of like conservative content that people are pumping out, and people wonder why nothing changes. The Federal Reserve controls both parties, but let's fight over Michelle Obama's. I mean, let's not go there. Let's leave that to Malik Obama. You know, he could talk about that. But you get what I'm saying. It's like, this is what people are doing. Like, did you see that Melania Trump looks so good? Like, yeah. Listen, I'm not talking Michelle. Listen. It's just like, it's like a Kardashian episode. It's kind of funny, but at the same time, it's like, I don't want to be poor, so it's like, can we not implode the economy? You know, I'm all for fun and games, but I'm not trying to be like Weimar Germany. Breaking news, women and men are not equal. I mean, nothing in this world's equal when it comes to height and performance and stuff, but they're different. Men and women are different, and they have pros and cons. But also, not all men or women are also all that great anyway. So it's like, you know, some are winners, some aren't. Like, just like being a man, like, I'm a man. It's like, okay, but what type of man are you? Like, I'm a woman. Like, cool. Are you like a useful woman, or are you a useless woman? Like, all women are useful. All women are powerful. It's like, no, I'm just kidding. You get what I'm saying though? When someone has a shirt on like that, I just assume it's like the opposite of what it is. Like, if you're like, I'm a man and men are strong, I'm like, okay, that's an insecure, like, very weak guy. Or if it's like, powerful woman, I'm a strong woman, women are the strongest, women are the best, women are so smart. Like, I assume that person is like, you know, has mental illness, they're, you know, broken inside, they're not confident, so they need to wear a shirt that says so. I mean, and I'm not, now I'm like looking at what I'm wearing. I'm wearing this guy's, look at the Zeb Ross guy who does the dance. I bought that. I saw him dance and I was like, I'm gonna support that guy. He's funny. Good vibes. But I'm not saying like people could say that about my God Bless hat too, but I just like when it's like a statement about your gender, you're like, my gender's a bender. My gender's a fender bender. My gender last September changed into a time machine. I'm a woman. Women are powerful. My race matters so much. Like when I read shirts like that, I'm just like, this person's broken. Be nice to this person because they're, you know, I don't think they're as confident as the shirt says, but who knows? Who knows? Did I talk about fake sister cities this week? I don't know. Are those Trump freedom cities or what? I don't know what that is. Like, listen, MAGA. Listen, okay? Don't get mad at Anomaly right now, okay? He's just trying to be funny, okay? Okay? Just promise me. Don't get mad, okay? All right. We're going to build freedom cities, okay, MAGA? Operation Warp Speed Freedom Cities, MAGA, okay? With the federal government, okay? And then when I'm out of office, it's going to be run by Democrats, the federal Democrat government, okay? And it's going to be like super free, okay? Because nothing is like synonymous with freedom like government, okay? And we're going to build these freedom cities on federal land, okay? Which would mean you would be mandated to take the vaccine if Biden were in office now because he has a federal mandate, okay? And people are like, oh my gosh, freedom cities, that sounds amazing. It's going to be like a MAGA rally. It's like, I do not trust a freedom city. I'd rather people just build, you know? And the government leave them alone. Like if the government just didn't have all these crazy rules, I bet people could build just fine. That impression ain't it, bruh. Okay. Trump had a chance to pay off our debt. I'm just saving people 4 years. No one's trying to pay off the debt. Democrats don't pretend that they are, and Republicans just pretend. That's why Republicans actually look stupid sometimes on the debate stage, because they're like, when we get into office, we're going to change the deficit. And all the Democrat has to do is be like, none of you have ever changed the deficit in the last like 20 years. And they're right. You get what I'm saying? Like, it makes the Republicans look stupid because the Democrats are like, yeah, we're not going to do anything. And then Republicans are like, we're going to fix the deficit. And they're like, no, you're not. And everybody watching is like, no, you're not. You know, it's like nobody believes that anymore, except for apparently somebody. But they're not even trying to fix the deficit. There's no effort to fix the deficit whatsoever. They just say that. So then it begs you the question, like, you know, these people are not your friends, but they don't even really pretend to be your friends. They try, but they don't convince you. These people pretend like they're going to do everything you want them to do, but they never do it. So it's like worth addressing. Free Julian Assange, someone said. Yeah, unfortunately for Julian, Trump put in like neocon warhawks, and they immediately like used their power to swipe him up. I mean, I think if Trump actually put outsiders, Julian Assange would be safe, but Trump used Julian Assange's reporting to get in office. And as soon as he got in office, he put in people like Mike Pompeo who hate Julian Assange. And in my view, someone went after Julian Assange, and it's unfortunate. I mean, it's sad, but I don't know. I haven't heard anything about Fauci or boosters. Well, you came late, unfortunately. Let's do warp speed again. Let's not do that. Would fuel prices went up if Trump is president? I mean, I think they would have been better for sure. The war, and that wasn't smart, like starting the war for sure. But I don't know. I guess I'm not trying to be quote unquote conspiratorial, but at a certain point, I'm wondering how much they're really trying. Like, let me give an example. Everything worked so perfect for them. It was like Trump getting in, right? He's the guy for the lockdown. I don't think I would have locked down if Hillary Clinton was like, hey guys, it's Hillary here. 15 days to slow the spread, right, boys? Like, would you have locked down for even a day under Hillary Clinton being like, 15 days to slow the spread? Would you have felt comfortable with that? I wouldn't have. But Donald Trump made me feel a little comfortable. I'm like, well, it's Trump. You know, he might have a plan or whatever. I mean, I didn't think so, but I was like, what could I really do? So Trump is like the perfect person to be in there for the America lockdown, to get conservatives to think that it's like fighting the Chinese virus or whatever. And then, you know, as soon as he loses, it's like Biden comes in office and starts the war and prints the money. And right, the last thing Donald Trump did, actually the last thing he did apparently, was give medals to Milley, Birx, and Fauci for their Operation Warp Speed. But one of the last events he had was like a setup for his own supporters. It's like, here, patriots, all the people that'll be useful, you know, disagreeing with Joe Biden, come to the Capitol where you'll all get arrested by the feds, so then you can't actually oppose Joe Biden's regime. So it's like the perfect event to just set up all Trump's biggest organizers and supporters, and then Joe Biden gets in, and then now there's a war, and now the gas prices go high. So in my head, I think Trump wouldn't have started this war, and I think Trump would have lowered gas prices to a certain extent, and I voted for him for multiple reasons. But my point is, like, how much of this is really organic and how much of this is like boing, 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 boing? You know, like, I don't know. It just seems too perfect, because it's like, you know, if Hillary would have went in, how bad would it have been, right? If Hillary would have went in, could they have locked the country down with Republicans listening? If, you know, Trump got in, would there have been a war? I don't know, but it didn't happen. Hillary didn't win in 2016. Trump didn't get in office in 2020. So that's all I'm wondering. It's like, you get what I'm saying? I'm just wondering how much of this is like how bad are they really fighting? Maybe they're fighting really hard, you know, but maybe they're like working together. In my opinion, if you give I didn't even see this before today. This is on the 19th. This is like a week and a half after January 6th, when Trump was leaving office. Today, President Donald J. Trump awarded presidential commendations to the below individuals in recognition of their exceptional efforts in Operation Warp Speed: General Milley, Alex Azar, Jared Kushner, Monkeef Slaoui, Deborah Birx, Anthony Fauci. Like, Trump's giving them medals. Like, in people's heads on like Newsmax and Fox News and all these networks, like, we're fighting Fauci. Trump's giving them medals. As you're at the Capitol getting arrested by the Fed, you're fighting Fauci or whatever. And, oh, Mike Pence is going to do. Mike Pence isn't doing shit. He's not doing anything. But in general, it's like, as you think you're taking on Fauci and the Biden administration, Trump's giving them medals. He's giving them medals and bailing out Democrat criminals and Israeli spies. Like, that's what he's doing. It's like Lil Wayne, Kodak Black, Jonathan Pollard, the Israeli spy. I forget that Democrat guy who was in jail. Jared Kushner's father that had you could look that up. Like that, he's not pardoning the people that got arrested at the Capitol. Like, hey, dummies, come get arrested by the feds, and I'm gonna like bail out other people and give medals to like Fauci and Dr. Birx. But like, thanks for showing up though. Like, we're totally fighting the deep state or whatever. But like, I'm not. He didn't give a medal to the horn hat shaman. He gave a medal to Dr. Fauci. Like, he didn't give a medal to innocent, protesters who didn't even do anything there. He gave a medal to the people that you think you're fighting. I'm not convinced that they're fighting at all. I don't think Trump's fighting Fauci. I don't think he's fighting Birx. I think he gave them a stage, gave them more power than they ever needed, and then gave them a medal. Like, here, you just screwed over our whole country and my election, by the way. Here's a medal for screwing all that over. But I'm really fighting the election, guys. I'm fighting for the election, so I'm going to give medals to the people that essentially really ruined it for me. I'm the only one who notices that stuff. I think I'm the only one who wants to notice this stuff because I'm not afraid of reality. It sucks. Like, sometimes what's going on is not as fun as like Star Wars. But at the end of the day, I look at myself in the mirror and I say, you know what? I'm not Jar Jar Binks. And I have to tell myself that. It's not fun because I'd rather be Jar Jar Binks. He looks like he's having a good time. A little goofy, a little awkward, but, overall fun guy. Pretty positive attitude. But I'm not Jar Jar Binks. At a certain point, you just gotta. Is that my Dr. Birx impression? No, I did that one yesterday. I think we'll put that one on ice for a little. I never said they're the best impressions, but they're definitely not the worst. Let's see. Someone said yucca. Dude, I don't like these people that just lie, and then people are like, oh, they're so awesome. Like, why are they awesome? Howdy, y'all. Let's get the Trump vaccine. She's so great. Why is she so great? What? Because she reads speeches that other people wrote? He said something. Oh my God, did you hear what he said? I don't care what they say anymore. It's like, I'm looking at actions now in politics because it's like, wow, he said what you wanted to hear. Whoa. What's funny too? Is I'm starting to notice, like with a lot of topics, people are starting to catch up. So now when I start to look at these what is it? Columbia Bugle, a very good account on Twitter. No bad blood at all with these people, although I don't know if he likes me or not, but he posts a lot of clips. I like Columbia Bugle. He posts really good clips. But he's one of those guys that I think he really likes Trump. So I'm starting to notice when he posts Trump clips now, the comments are all ratioing him. It's like, because like Trump says something and everyone in the comments like, yeah, but he didn't do that though. You know what I'm saying? It's not like a mystery of like maybe he had 4 years and he didn't do that. So people are starting to catch up and ask the right questions. It's not we hate Trump and we would never like him ever again. It's just like, I'm not convinced by your words because it doesn't make sense. It doesn't hit the same as it did in 2016. Like, let me give you an example. Trump did a speech recently, or one of his little campaign videos, where he was like, if I'm in office and there's riots, I'm going to shut them down and do all this stuff and take care of them. I don't believe you, bro, because you were in office in 2020 and you didn't do that. I'm not saying that you're a terrible person, or I don't know what you can and can't do with your power or whatever, but you saying you would stop a riot when you were already in the White House and you didn't stop the riots, why should I believe that you're going to do it this time? So everybody's starting to sound like what I'm saying because it's the truth. I didn't make it up. It's not like a thing that I thought of. I thought of it because it's real. So I'm starting to see people get ratioed. Popular accounts get ratioed every time they do stupid crap because everyone's like, I don't believe it. I don't see it. Why didn't, if you're going to do that, why didn't you do it last time? And that's healthy. It's not a bad thing. It's not disloyal. It's like common sense American patriotism. It's like, you get what I'm saying? It's like, we want more proof. You have to earn our vote. And I can't tell you what's going to happen in the election. I'm not a statistician. I don't study all the data to this extent. But I think Trump's making a big mistake by, instead of showing what he's going to do and kind of appealing and really proving it, I think he's trying like the mudslinging sort of thing and being like, here's what DeSantis isn't doing. Here's who DeSantis isn't. It's like, who are you though? What are you going to do? And why should I believe that you're going to do it? How are you going to convince me that you're going to do things that you didn't do the first time? That's where I could be at one. I can't speak for everybody, but my vote could be one if he proves to me that he's a different guy or he's going to hire better. then I would consider voting for him. My vote is still up for grabs, but he's not doing that. It's like a mudslinging game. It's like horse face. Stormy Daniels has a horse face. Her face is a horse, guys. She looks like a horse. Is anyone still listening to me? And everyone's like, ha ha ha. Oh my gosh, Trump's back. I'm like, I'm not going to not vote for him because he called someone horse face. But it's like, what are we in kindergarten? You know, didn't you do this 4 years ago? Like, that's, you know, I don't care if you call her horse face or not. Are you going to do the right thing or not? That's not enough to win my vote, unfortunately. If it was like the Comedy Store, then I would vote for you, but it's not a comedy routine. I want to know what you're going to do. She's got a face like a horse. I never did anything with her. I'm like, I believe you, bro. The mystery of godliness. Trump has a role to play. Trump's a Jesuit. Biden's a Jesuit. Celebrities are Freemasons. CEOs are generals, etc. Left and right are all members. Said the mystery of godliness. I mean, I can't confirm that, but I did read the super chat, so. Why doesn't somebody ask him in an interview? Be like, hey, Trump, are you a Jesuit working with the Freemasons? That sounds like a good question to ask, right? That's a journalistic question. Why doesn't anybody go to an event and raise your hand? Ask it. Someone said Trump never mentioned January 6ers until Ye and Fuentes forced him to. I do think that's true. I think he made a statement like a week after Ye was like, what's up with your January 6ers? And then Trump's like, listen, I care so much about the January 6ers because Ye bullied me into caring. It's like, okay. Someone said Trump is owned by the Rothschild banking system. I've heard that theory. I mean, it could be real. I just haven't confirmed it that he took a huge like Rothschild loan at some point, but I don't know. That might be hate speech. I don't know. I'm so sorry that I said hate speech. I've learned my lesson. Me and Kyrie Irving have went on an apology tour, and then I'll call all my friends and hang out with them and come back and I'll be a changed man. My bad. Someone said whoever wrote that super chat is super based. Well, he heard that compliment. I'm sure he's grateful. Somebody needs to ask Trump some hard questions. Yeah, DeSantis too, but definitely Trump. I don't think anybody like wants to ask him a question. But to me, that's kind of the strategy. Is like you get if you're not that and you're not going to do that, it's better to just create a false paradigm. Like say you're not actually going to do these things. Isn't it better to just make it about Biden and Biden's inflation? Like, are you really going to admit that you're part of the inflation because of all the money you printed with Jerome Powell? No, just blame it on them. Or like, do you want to address the things you didn't do? No. Let's just say that DeSantis didn't do it. DeSantis closed down the beaches. DeSantis sold the vaccine too much. DeSantis did a bad job with COVID. That's Trump's strategy. He doesn't want to address things that he didn't do well. So he's just kind of like trying to brainwash people into being like, DeSantis did a bad job handling COVID. Not me. DeSantis did it. It's all DeSantis that did it. And I have nothing to change. It's all DeSantis. And like people are like, yeah, DeSantis did that. And it's like Trump did everything that he's accusing of DeSantis, either exactly the same or worse on certain topics. There's an argument to be made, but like that's his campaign strategy. It's not address what I'm actually going to do and kind of move forward. It's more like accuse your enemy of what you do. It's really like a Saul Alinsky tactic. Like, was Trump in on 15 days to slow the spread? Yeah. So let's just blame it on DeSantis. You know, the thing with DeSantis and Trump though, DeSantis has talked about it since then, the last year. You could watch interviews where he explains what Dr. Birx is doing and he explains the lies. DeSantis is like intellectual. He goes into depth of what they did wrong. Trump is like a pull string doll. He doesn't really say anything smart about this topic. Like, it's like, I saved the world. My vaccine saved 100 million lives. I'm the father of the vaccine. Like, he won't actually address the corruption of anything. Either he's not smart enough, or he's not honest enough, or he doesn't have like the vocabulary, depth to say this stuff. I'm not sure, but it's like he hasn't said anything interesting, honest, or revolutionary about the whole COVID lockdown in like 2 years. He talked about alternate medications for like a month before the vaccine was ready. Then he shut up about that so he could be the vaccine salesman. But since that time of him talking about alternate medications, he hasn't said anything. Like, it's like, so, it's like with like Sam Harris, Sam Harris, if you guys don't know who Sam Harris is, he's probably the dumbest fake intellectual in America right now. Like, he's known as like an intellectual podcaster, but he's dumb as a rock or stupid or fake. But like Sam Harris, I don't look at Sam Harris 4 years ago and be like, well, I have to like Sam Harris now because I liked what he said 4 years ago. When you're an intellectual podcaster, whatever Sam Harris pretends to be, you're judged on who you are. If you do bad during COVID-19, it's not everybody's responsibility to remember the glory times of Sam Harris. That's your job. You know what I'm saying? You failed one of the biggest tests in your profession of podcasting. So people don't have to like you. So it's like with Sam Harris, I'm not being rude. I've heard Sam Harris interviews where he's very smart. In the last 2 years, Sam Harris has been dumb as a rock and fake as a rock. He's the stupidest person I've ever heard. Yet he's supposed to be smart or something. So it's the same thing with Trump. It's like Trump hasn't said anything revolutionary, interesting, honest, or real about COVID in the last 2 years. It's been since 2020. So just like Sam Harris, I'm not judging what he once did one time. I'm judging who he is now, and he's not better than DeSantis on the COVID. He's not better on the topic of mandates and talking about it. He's not better on addressing the corruption and talking about alternative doctors. Trump's not better at any form of COVID, and he hasn't been for 2 years now. So you get what I'm saying? It's like if he wants to gain people's respect, he has to do it by being that guy instead of just yelling at everybody who doesn't like him. It's the same with Sam Harris. Like, Sam Harris sucks. It's not my job to pretend like he doesn't suck. Stop sucking. Stop sucking so much, and then I'll be like, oh, that made sense. Dude, Sam Harris, him and Lex Friedman, it's like two robots. We'll say individuals, because remember, two individuals and two robots just droning back and forth at each other. It's obnoxious. Lex Friedman also blocked me on Twitter. That's fine, but I actually liked Lex Friedman before, but with the yay stuff, I had some disagreements and he blocked me because, you know how Lex feels about that. It's okay though. Trump just spoke about all that last weekend. What did he say though that was like super revolutionary and honest? And what did he say anything? I haven't seen a clip from him in 2 years that wowed me. I watched one of DeSantis. I was like, well, that was well-spoken. I watched one of Thomas Massie. That was well-spoken. I watched RFK Jr. talk about it. That was in-depth. I watched Joe Rogan and Dave Smith talk about it. That was in-depth. I watched Trump talk about it. He sounds like a third grader. Like he's not even saying anything about COVID. That's a shareable clip. I've shared clips of RFK. I've shared clips of Dave Smith. I've shared clips of Rand Paul. I've shared clips of DeSantis. I would love to share a clip from Trump about COVID. He just hasn't said anything that's not on like a second grade poop my pants level. Like, find me a clip that he said something interesting or revolutionary about the lockdowns or COVID or anything, and I'll share it. I haven't heard it. I would love to, because I'm not sharing RFK because he's RFK, and I'm not sharing DeSantis because he's DeSantis. I'm sharing it because it's actually good. If it's good, I share it. I don't care who said it. It's like Sam Harris. There's nothing to share from him unless I'm making fun of him because he's so stupid. Read my first super chat, please. It explains their goal. I can't scroll up that much, my guy. Like if you're talking about like at the beginning of the show, I know I missed one from Venice Beach Dub Club too. I read it, but I was playing clips at the time, so I would say it again in my head, but I forget exactly what you said. Someone said only thing he said lately is that no school will force vaccines or masks anymore. That's good. Appreciated. Someone said he didn't speak about the vaccine in his last speech. That's something. I've said this before, but I went to Turning Point USA, barely, because they almost kicked me out, but I went to Turning Point USA and I watched Trump speak and I watched DeSantis speak. I got to hear both of them speak, right? I don't really care who's who. Like, I'm pretty fair where it's like, if it's a good speech, it's a good speech. I like public speaking. I like being at events. I watched DeSantis speak the first night, right? DeSantis spent a lot of time talking about mandates. DeSantis spent a lot of time talking about what the schools are doing. I'm not somebody that buys a political speech, this or that. I felt like DeSantis's was genuinely better than Trump's. Like, it was just like, here's what's going on here. And then he's like, it's not about me. You're the future. It was very uplifting and inspiring, in my opinion. And it felt like very pretty genuine for a politician. I understand that Trump has been very, very genuine too. I'm not saying he's not, but like DeSantis' speech, in my opinion, was more selfless and not so selfish. It was like, here's what's going on. Here's what I'm doing in Florida. Here's how I'm doing it. Here's what I'm stopping. In Trump's speech, it seemed like a goofy clown show. It's all about him. He didn't mention mandates. He didn't mention anything that was going on. He didn't mention the COVID tyranny. It was at a time when it was still around. It was like he's painting this alternate Trump world where all that doesn't exist. All this stuff we're going through, it doesn't exist because he doesn't want to talk about it because he has nothing to say about it. He did this all of 2021 too. It's like he would sell the vaccine, barely talk about mandates, like just mention it for a second. DeSantis takes 5-10 minutes to talk about it, and he talks about it like he knows and cares about it. Trump just doesn't do that. You get what I'm saying? Like he's not that guy. He creates his own fake world where it's like, from 2021 to 2022, if you could do an AI analysis and like scan every Trump speech and scan every DeSantis speech, DeSantis probably spent hours upon hours talking about mandates and fighting them, and Trump probably spent 3 minutes total. Like it's like 5 minutes of vaccine sales, 1 second about a mandate. 3 minutes about vaccine sales, like 1 second about a mandate. He'll say the mandate wouldn't have been there because everybody would have got the vaccine under Trump because they loved the Trump vaccine. Like he was saying stupid stuff like that. So it's like Trump didn't spend any time fighting the mandates with his speeches. He spent more time, way more time selling the vaccine than fighting the mandates. If I could guess, I'm just throwing it out there. If I could scan every Trump speech of 2020 or 2021 and 2022, I would say the ratio of him selling the vaccine is an amazing thing to him fighting the vaccine and the mandates was like 100 to 1. It was like 100 times more selling the vaccine than fighting the mandates. If you took every time that DeSantis sold the vaccine and every time that DeSantis fought the mandates, the ratio is the other way. It's like DeSantis spent way more time and energy fighting the mandates and only sold the vaccine a couple times for a brief second. Trump, that was like his thing. He was like, his job was like to go around conservative media and try to explain to you why it's such a great vaccine. It's just the truth. That's just what happened. So that's why people don't like Trump that much and they like DeSantis more. So here's one of the reasons. Either you address that and change it or you don't. Their strategy, a lot of influencers who are working with them or just like them a lot, their strategy is basically to bash anybody who likes DeSantis more than Trump and not learn anything. Like, don't change. Just like go after everybody who isn't buying into this world. It's like, it's a very disingenuous, a very fake, and very like low energy strategy. It's got to be different than the 2016 thing though, because you got to understand when you get into when you're Trump in 2015 and 2016, you've never been in office. So you could say anything and everybody pretty much believes you or can believe in it because there's no proof that you've gone the other way. You can't point and say, well, Trump hired this person, Trump hired that person, or Trump didn't do this, or Trump was in for 4 years and he didn't stop the BLM riots, or he fell short and he didn't do anything about DACA. There is none of that in 2015. Because Trump was never in office. So he had the perfect outsider strategy of like talk shit about everybody, tell them how fake they are, call out their donor money, tell them I'm too rich, I don't need their money. It worked in 2016 because he was an outsider. He never had a resume to even look at, so he could say whatever he wanted whenever he wanted, and he's got the massive advantage over career politicians. Now, against DeSantis, he's trying to paint that same thing. It's the establishment guy versus the outsider. Well, it's probably establishment versus establishment, but where DeSantis has an edge on Trump is he's never been president. So all these question marks are, well, maybe DeSantis will do better, or maybe he won't do better, but it's almost like in some ways DeSantis is the outsider, and in some ways they're both not outsiders at all because now they're both politicians. But Trump is trying to be fake and being like, I'm the outsider who stands up to the establishment, and he works with the establishment. Just ignore the fact, Patriots, that I already was president for 4 years. Ignore the fact that I'm closer to Lindsey Graham than ever. Ignore the fact that I'm close to Nikki Haley. Ignore the fact that I work with John Bolton. Ignore the fact that I hired Mike Pompeo. Ignore the fact that I hired Mitch McConnell's wife. Ignore the fact that I hired pharmacy lobbyists. Ignore the fact that I was cozy with Fauci and gave him a medal. Ignore the fact that I put Birx on TV for 3 months. Ignore the fact that I was Operation Word. Ignore all that, Patriots, and just remember, I'm the outsider. It doesn't work. It doesn't work the same. That's why it's shrinking. It's like the people that are going to believe that are not the people that are the most honest or the most. In 2015, it's like, you're damn right. He is the outside. He's not the outsider anymore. If anything, it's establishment versus establishment, which people don't want to admit. So it's like, now it's a fake. Trump's whole campaign is fake. It's not like, oh, at least to me, what would make me vote for Trump would be him saying, listen, I'm still anti-establishment. I'm still an outsider. I did a good job in Syria. I'll end the war, but I understand what I didn't do the first time, and I'm going to change it. This doesn't mean he has to say he's such a bad person. You have to understand, like, I love sports. When you watch an athlete lose a game, they don't say, I'm a piece of garbage. I don't want Trump to do that. I want him to say, I lost that game. Now I'm coming back, and here's why I'm going to win the game, because every mistake I made, I've learned from it. I've learned from my mistakes. I've learned from my interceptions. I've learned from my bad hires, and now I'm going to be that guy that I couldn't be the first 4 years because I got bamboozled. That would make me listen to Trump, not him being totally delusional about it, him bashing DeSantis, him bashing people who don't like him, and him pretending like he's anti-establishment without addressing all of these things and having a support base and a journalist base who also don't question him on all these things. So the signs are pointing towards he's not that person. Because if you don't hear that he's learned, why should I believe that he has? I don't think he has. I'm almost positive he hasn't. I know what it looks like when somebody realizes dude, I'm glad I lost that one because I've learned so many things from the mistakes I made that the next time I come back, I'm going to be bigger, better, stronger, and I'm not going to hire Mike Pompeo. I'm not going to hire pharmacy lobbyists. I'm not going to hire Mitch McConnell's wife, and I'm not going to hang out with Lindsey Graham. But he's clearly going to do all those things again. Like, he's not even showing signs that he's not. He doesn't have to put Lindsey Graham on a stage. Guys, he's Donald Trump. He could put anybody on stage. He's the star. He's the Drake. You know what I'm saying? He shows up. It's the Trump show. It's not that Lindsey Graham can't pull a crowd. So why the hell is Donald Trump giving Lindsey Graham a stage? They're working together. He's in on it. He's not anti-establishment. So if he wants my vote, he's got to admit what he did and say, I'm bigger, better, stronger, and I'm that guy. Not, everybody who questioned me is bad. You locked down, not me. Like, he's delusional. And everybody who's like really behind what he's doing is starting to lose it a little bit. They're acting very like emotionally unhinged because they're grasping onto something that's not there. It's like trying to grab a ledge that's not real. It's like, it's not going to age well. I don't care what people say or do. I've been through that. But someone said trans sports. Bro, stop being a bigot. I'm going to play in the WNBA. Stop hating. I'm just kidding. Or am I? Or am I going to go to the WNBA? Am I going to be at the tryouts? Am I going to ball on these baddies? We don't know. Someone said, what if he's deep state, all his past friends are? Well, yeah, that's the question people are starting to wonder, where it's like, did you just fall on your face 50 times because you got bamboozled, or are you just in on it? And here's the other angle to it is like, if you got, because, I'm not an irrational person where I just sit and believe what I believe. I've had thousands of interactions on Twitter and other places with people where when I start saying certain things, I start hearing the excuses, and I'm just like piecing them together calmly, where I'll be like, well, this, and this was like very like not good. And they'll be like, well, he got fooled. So then I'm just thinking rationally, it's like, if he gets fooled by 20 people, is he a fool? If you're always getting fooled, aren't you a fool then? Well, no. Like, he got fooled by Pompeo. He got fooled by Fauci. He got fooled by Pfizer. He got fooled. He got fooled. Well, then he's probably not a good leader if he's getting fooled all the time. I don't have these stories of DeSantis getting fooled all the time because he does what he does. Whether it's good or bad, he owns it. He's not a giant victim and a baby and a clown. He just does things. I disagreed with multiple things DeSantis did. I've agreed with a lot of things he did. But there is no fake clown narrative with DeSantis. DeSantis is really good. He just gets fooled by all his advisors. There's none of that in the DeSantis camp. That's why people are starting to prefer it more. It's like, that doesn't even make your point better. Like, oh, Biden's actually a really good leader, guys. It's just he gets fooled by everyone all the time. Biden's not a bad guy. He just gets fooled by, Janet Yellen. Well, if he gets fooled by Janet Yellen, he's a fool. And if she's in his cabinet, that's his administration. Like, Trump is somehow not responsible for everything he did, and everything wrong he did is just he's a fool. That's like the number one answer I got. It's like, he's too stupid or foolish to like figure it out. He just gets fooled all the time. It's like, that's a horrible leader. Bro, did you see the football game? They lost by 50 points. Well, how'd they lose by 50 points? Well, the quarterback threw 10 interceptions. He didn't have a good game. Oh no, he had a great game. He just got fooled a bunch of times. He got tricked. Okay, but so he had a bad game, right? No. He had a great game. It's like, but he threw 10 interceptions. But no, it was the wide receiver's fault. Like, he ran the wrong way. The defense tricked him. And that's fine. So he should not get tricked next time, right? Like it doesn't actually make sense. A real man, a real leader, a real person has humility, self-awareness. They look and say, but a politician's a politician. A politician just keeps lying. He's a politician now. He's not a real person anymore. He was a real person from 2016 to 2020. He was real, authentic. He's not real anymore. It's all fake. It's all no self-awareness, no self-accountability, no humility, no, it's DeSantis. He's the one who did it. He's establishment, not me. It's like, no, that's not it. And maybe that works. Maybe that's how politics work. They just lie all the time. I don't know. I guess that's always how it's worked. You have like, I'm Mitt Romney, and I'm going to do the thing that I'm going to do because I'm a Mormon or something. And then it's like, I'm Barack Obama. Okay. I'm Barack Obama. I play basketball. Okay. I'm pretty cool. I'm a cool guy. Okay. I'm going to change the world. Okay. And then, like, you just pick one of the people, and then you're like, oh, he's going to. But then, I don't know. Maybe that's just what politics is, and, like, we just have to accept it. But if that's what it is, then we have to stop pretending like it's so real if it's not real. That's all I'm saying. Like, if it's fake, let's just say it's fake. If it's real, if there's a way to make it real, let's make it real. But let's not play like, oh, it's fake, but I want it to be real, so I'm just going to lie about it and not address the problems. And like, it's like, then get into Star Wars or Harry Potter. There's so many ways to dress up and play games. Like, don't play games with American politics. If you want to dress up and live in fantasy worlds, there's a lot of routes you could go. There's a lot of cosplay events at Comic-Con, and I'm not being rude. I actually think it's kind of dope that people just kind of go wild. I like to dance. I like to, what I'm saying? I could see myself wearing a Tony the Tiger costume, just raving or something. Like, that's not out of my realm. I might show up at Comic-Con one time in a mask. I might not, though. I don't, I'm not knocking that lifestyle. But don't bring that lifestyle to politics and play games with the real world, because it's just not real. Admit it and then change it, or don't. Anomaly, maybe we live in a computer simulated reality. Sorry, I just malfunctioned real quick. My binary code got jammed in my inner spine. No, I'm just kidding. I just wanted to trip you out, but no, I hear what you're saying. Reality. Sorry. I got in an argument on Twitter by mistake with this guy, and I felt terrible because I asked if he was a robot, and I don't like to call people bots. Even people when they're like haters, I'm not like, oh, you're a hater. I don't, like, you're real people. Hopefully you're not robots, but you get what I'm saying? I don't like to call people bots. But this one guy, I was like, are you a chat GPT? Because there is AI now. And I felt bad because he was like, I'm a veteran, and and now I'm like, I'm not trying to fight with this veteran. I feel terrible. But he was acting like a robot because people know who've watched my videos for years. I tell you, what do I say? Every time somebody is like freaking out at me on Twitter, I go to their page and they're like a Trump guy. It's like they got the same bio. They're retweeting cat turd and Eldano Trumpo. I've said this 15 times that they're always retweeting cat turd. It's like cat turd's like brainwashing right wingers into being right wing NPCs or something. But anyway, so I click on his page and he's got cat turd retweeted. Always, I'm telling you. And then his thing says Trump 2024, the election was taken, orange. Like, it had like oranges. And I'm like, it felt like a robot, because what type of Trump supporter puts oranges in their profile? You get what I'm saying? Like, usually right wingers or left wingers are like, orange man bad. And then right wingers like, no, but like nobody puts oranges in their it just looked fake to me. I was like, are you even a real person, or are you an algorithm? And he's like, I'm a veteran. I fought in 2 wars. And I'm like, now I feel terrible, but I'm not trying to be rude. I'm just like, are you an AI algorithm just wasting my time, or are you a real person? I don't know. It could be either. Cause like on the left, people act like algorithms. You know what I'm saying? Like, their brain malfunctions when you're like, men shouldn't play women's sports. And they're like, meh, meh, meh. And I'm like, is it an AI, or are people just acting like robots? I don't know, because there are some people that act that way. But I felt bad because I called him a bot, and he was like, I'm a veteran. I'm like, damn it. But are you, though, or is that what a bot would say? I don't know, you know? But I know that these things really exist now. I'm not one to just be like, oh, everybody's a Russian bot. They do have ChatGPT, and sadly, it is like smarter than a lot of people. I mean, it can't like farm and stuff, or can it? But like you ask ChatGPT, it can write a poem that's better than 99% of people can write poems. You know what I'm saying? It can like respond to questions. It knows everything. So I'm like, it's not that hard for people to make AI accounts and just like repeat things on loop. Talk about Tucker taking about Building 7. I've never seen Tucker talk about Building 7, unless you're talking about the older video where he was like, that's a crazy conspiracy theory. Hopefully he'll revisit that one if that's what you're talking about. Gene Simmons had me permanently banned from Twitter for calling him a small hat and tweeting his real name. I mean, yeah, I don't know what their harassment policies are, but I guess you went past that. You like that I read that comment? You got a kick out of that, didn't you? We need to put Rand Paul in charge of everything and fire. Hold on, I missed that one. Fire what? Oh, fire the rest of DC. I hope he runs. I mean, I don't know if he could win, but what if like DeSantis teamed up with Rand Paul and then Trump teams up with like Carrie Lake or like Nikki Haley or something? I like Carrie Lake in interviews, but personally, like even Marjorie Taylor Greene, who I have the number of whoever books her stuff. I met her. She follows me on Twitter. I want Marjorie to come on the show, but her guy or agent or whatever it is isn't answering me anymore. She's doing a bill with Dan Crenshaw, like a invade Mexico bill or something with Dan Crenshaw. It's like, I like Marjorie, but I'm like, did you turn into Dan Crenshaw or something? Like, I mean, maybe she has a reason for doing that, but I'd love to interview her. I don't know, but I think she just like really likes Trump or whatever. I don't know. I would love to interview her, but maybe she doesn't want to interview me now or something. But a couple weeks ago she did. With that being said, Carrie Lake is cool in interviews, but to me, I feel like Carrie Lake is just like a female Trump in the sense of not like, oh, she's crushing. She doesn't have her own opinions. Like, I don't see her disagreeing with Trump ever. She's like Trump Jr. It's like a little doll. Here's my little doll. It'll do whatever I say. Jump. It'll jump. Like, I kind of want someone with a brain, like Rand Paul. Like, Rand Paul as vice president would interest me in Trump's campaign. If he hires Nikki Haley or Carrie Lake or anyone, to me, it's just like Trump world. Like, hire somebody that actually has a spine. Hire somebody that actually has a brain of their own. I'm not knocking Carrie. She's a talented person, a superstar, but you get what I'm saying? She's Trump Jr. She would never disagree with Trump. She's riding Trump's coattails as far as it takes her. She would never even question him on anything. If Trump says the vaccine is good, Carrie Lake will say, hell yeah, it is. Like, she would never be like, no, I disagree. Like, she would not disagree with Trump, at least publicly, so I'd rather Rand Paul. Like, if DeSantis chose Rand Paul or somebody, now things are getting interesting. Someone said your impersonation of Trump cultist meltdowns. Dude, I've had this happen so many times where I'm just asking a question and people freak out. My Q impressions were always fun too. I was good at the Q impressions. I find codes everywhere. You don't understand, guys. I don't live in a 4-dimensional reality. I live in a 12-dimensional reality. I get everything I know from message boards, and my IQ has gone up thousands of points since I found 4chan. I'm just kidding. Anyway. Someone said, I kind of want some hot Gen X lady with a ukulele who surfs. Are you with Cruella hair? Are you talking about Tulsi Gabbard? That was oddly specific. I used to be a normal reporter, and then I found a message board. Since then, let's just say I've taken things to another level, like normal person IQ. My IQ doesn't even fit on an IQ chart because Q told me to trust the plan. So now I don't even operate in this realm. Oh, Anomaly says the lockdowns are bad. Well, I think the lockdowns are a super secret way to arrest the pedophiles in Europe, so I'm going to support the lockdowns for 2 months, and then I'm going to vehemently oppose the lockdowns 2 months later, and then I'm going to act like a psychopath and pretend like I never actually supported them when everybody knows I did. I mean, if that doesn't show high IQ, what does? Am I right? I just call it high Q. I took the I out because it's just in the way. I have a high Q. I have a 1,000-point Q. You know, it's like chess players, geniuses, you know what I'm saying, neurosurgeons, rocket scientists, me. No, I'm just kidding. I'm joking. It's a joke, guys. Please don't. Please don't. So I want to say, because I always say, hey, I'm working on new stuff, and it always takes forever. Later tonight or tomorrow, I'm closing a deal, right? Not what you think. Unless maybe you think what I'm closing. I don't know. How would you know? Because I've never really actually said it. But this deal that I'm closing is for my shop. I'm getting a new product, okay? It's going to take a while to be made because it's organic, 100% organic, 2 out of the 3 things. The other thing isn't organic because one of the products can't technically be organic. It's like a FDA thing. I'll explain it. But I'm branching out. I'm branching out of hats. We have hats, dreamrow.com. We have shirts, but I'm taking it to the next level. I'm like, what else could I sell that I like? I'm not saying what it is yet until it's closer. Maybe I'll do a pre-sale, but I'm about to close a deal for new products. I'm getting 3,000 of something. I'll give you a hint. I don't want to give a hint because it'll give it away, but it's not close. CBD, no, everybody sells CBD. I'm not selling CBD. The speech book, hopefully in the next 2 months. It's so close. Here's what I'm doing too. I just did a song. If you guys know the Raconteurs, it's a band with Jack White from the White Stripes, the Raconteurs. They do a song called Steady As She Goes. And Brendan Benson's in that band. I have a song with Brendan Benson coming out. It's like a rock song, but I'm rapping on it. It's pretty dope. I'm excited. That's coming out this month. So I'm always, it's hard to balance music, writing, my shop, and everything else. And I got to do taxes. Like, I don't want to show my desk, but I have like 20 things from like all my, like just trying to do taxes and stuff. Exhausting, but I'll get there. Once I finish taxes, then I'll be like, easier to finish the book. But I'm excited for my new product because you already know, it's the best. It's the best of that product that I've ever had, and it took a long time. But let's see if anyone else guesses. Bone broth? No, it's not bone broth. Truth serum? No. Kombucha? No. Coffee? No. Good guesses, but I'll reveal it soon because it takes 2 to 3 months to get made. Because it's not just sitting there old. It's going to be like fresh. It's all going to be fresh. It's all being made like on the spot. It's organic. There's only one ingredient in one of the things that's not organic. But the reason is there is none that are organic in the world. For whatever reason, there's a specific ingredient that they just say is not organic. Even though it lives in the real world. Maybe there's a scientific reason for that. I'm not really sure. I have to look into it. But am I going to discuss Fauci and the boosters because the headline said? Yeah, I did it at the beginning, so I apologize. If you want to see, you got to go back. He's saying that we're going to get yearly boosters, but he used the word require, which is a word that could mean mandatory. But he didn't say it's going to be mandatory. They'll try. I mean, if the people like Fauci had power, they would make it mandatory. Let's just put it that way. So this is why I'm still going to vote for these Republican losers. I'll still vote for these losers because they're better than the Democrat losers. But I'm not pretending like they're going to fix inflation. They're not. But I don't want vaccine mandates, and Republicans have proven they won't do that. I think Republicans should run on that, honestly. I think that should be like a main principle they run on. They act like it's not even happening, but so many people are tired of the mask and the vaccine. No one's guessed it. That's funny. Everybody's guessing it. Health bar. No, it's... Yeah, well, anyway. Does it take 9 months to be made? No. That would be like a baby. It takes like 2 to 3 months. 3 months probably. Peanut butter? No. I'm excited. But face cream? Getting closer, but no. Someone said, remember when people were saying Alex Jones was selling snake oil when he was selling common health products? I've always had his back on that note. Alex sells some good stuff. Yeah, he doesn't. I mean, he sells supplements and stuff. So with that sort of thing, you got to know what you like. Water filters, I mean, it's better than selling vaccines. Someone said blank pills for your pee-pee. No, it's not that. Not that, Brian. Do you think I would sell penis pills? You think I'm that type of person that's like, hey guys, dreamrare.com, we got some new pee-pee pills in there. Grow it big and strong. Do you really think I would be that guy? No. That's hilarious though. That's not me. You know that. It's pretty funny though. We're like, do you want to be rock hard for hours? Well, you got to go to dreamrare.com. No, it's like, dude, people would be like, that's very off-brand. That's very unnecessary. Oh, you're talking about Alex? No, I got you. It was funny anyway. Someone said gay frog energy drink. Gay frog energy drink from Alex Jones. He's like, you have a 50% chance of morphing into a gay frog. Not FDA approved, of course. No, I'm just kidding. I gotta watch my jokes because when you actually sell stuff, they could like ping you on a joke. So no joking once I get my products ready. We'll see. Raid Shadow Legends. I don't know what that means. Soy milk? Of course not, bro. Why would I be selling soy milk out here? Supplements? No. I'll tell you soon because I got 3 different. Let's just say it's a product. You use it. It's not a Hatter shirt. It's going to be 3 different ones. I already got the names. I got to sign the deal tonight. Then they start making. I got my own boxes. Dream Rare brand. Ooh, it's going to be fun. I hope people buy them because I'm about to spend a lot of money on it. I'm fronting everything. So, I'm 100% of the product. I'm buying it up in front. I'm buying 3,000. It's all right. That's what it is. How much do I have to offer you to cut your hair? You give me $100K, I'd cut it right now. If you lace my bank account with $100K, I'd shave it on air. That's my price, $100K. That would be totally worth it, $100K. Anything less than that, don't waste my time. Someone said facial cleanser. All I'm going to say is close. The closest thing I've seen someone say is facial cleanser. Technically, that's close. That's all I'm going to say. Someone said kosher lampshades. What would make a lampshade kosher? I don't even Okay, I don't know whether you're Jewish or not Jewish. Do not eat lampshades, okay? Don't eat them. Don't say that. I will shave my head for $2,000. I'm just saying $100K because I don't know. Maybe someone's crazy enough to pay it. Someone said kosher bacon. Bro, don't be disrespectful. See, you joke with the Jews about that because you know they're not going to get that mad. But like if you said that to a Muslim, you wouldn't say that to a Muslim. They'd get way more pissed than Jews would at you. You're like, let me guess, halal bacon? They'll be like, they're coming. Not all. I mean, some Muslims are like, whatever. Haram. They just like, whatever. Ignorant non-Muslim, but be nice. My products are for everyone. Except liberals. No, I'm joking. That's going to be a clip now, and they're going to be like, see, he doesn't want... It's a joke. Of course I want liberals to use my products. It's not about politics. I just lost half the market. Darn it. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not giving it away. I already gave enough away. Dude, I had a Muslim Uber driver. I drove 3 hours. I should have probably just rented a car, but like I had to get somewhere else in Florida and I needed to get there like quickly. I was tired, so I just like got a long Uber. And the guy was like super Muslim. I forget where he was from, but he was like hella Islamic. His whole phone was like texting in Islamic and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like he's having phone convos. And we start talking. It was pretty epic because it's a 3-hour drive. And you want a good driver. If you're going to take an Uber for 3 hours, you need a good driver. You don't want to have like a bad driver for 3 hours. So I'm trying to like feel the guy out so we're on a good page because we got a far way to go. And he starts telling me about Saudi Arabia and Qatar and basically saying that the West is degenerate and like, Saudi Arabia and Dubai, they shouldn't allow the West in because, the West is like, just gross with all their like, liberalism. So I said to him, I was like, yeah, that stuff's haram. And he was so excited that I knew the word haram. He's like, haram? How did you know haram? I was like, listen, I'm out in these streets, my guy. I'm like, don't ask too many questions, but I already know. And he loved me from that point on. So it was a great ride. We just talked about how disgusting liberals were for 3 hours, and it was a great time. I just said, haram? Buddy, how you know haram, man? Haram? Oh, man, oh, that's my boy. I was like, hey, shit, I'm a Christian, but you know what it is. I know the word haram. And then it was just smooth sailing from then on. We just talked about disgusting, degenerate cultural trends. And, it made a new friend. Honestly, I probably know haram from my friend Nabiz. I think his last name's Azil. My buddy Nabiz, who's been on my podcast a few times, he always says haram. So that's how I know haram. Thank you, Nabiz, for saying haram all the time, because that got me the in with the Uber driver, and it made it like a way better ride because we were on the same page. Wow, 3 hours. How much does it cost? More than you want to know. I mean, a couple $100 maybe. Here's the thing. I was just getting off my cruise. I had to get to the south of Florida, but there was no flights. I would have just taken a flight or something, but there were none. And I got like 2 hours of sleep. So I could have rented a car, but I didn't want to drive that tired, and I had no idea where I was going. So I just took a long ass Uber. I had to get from Orlando to Fort Lauderdale. There's no planes. I could have, if I was staying or planned it out better, but it was kind of spur of the moment. Maybe it was 100 something, 200. I don't remember. I gave him $100 tip though. I'm a nice guy. Cause he told me straight up, he was like, bro, it's not really worth it to drive you cause Uber takes this percentage of it. Like, I was like, I got you, my guy. If you're cool, I'll give you a tip. I throw $100 tips sometimes. I'm trying to spread the wealth. You know what I'm saying? If I got a good barista, good delivered, good Uber, gotta spread the love. Someone said you could sell San Francisco tennis shoes to liberals. I'm not selling tennis shoes, but I don't know why that was funny. I mean, I like tennis. It's not like San Francisco doesn't own tennis. Someone said base sunblock, get based all over your face. No, it's not sunblock, but that's funny. My way to do sunblock is like just not stay in the sun that long. I don't like wearing sunscreen. This is not health advice, I promise you. I just like, it's like instead of baking in the sun for 10 hours, I just like to like stay in the sun for an hour and a half, Some people are like, let me go to the beach and just burn my whole body for 10 hours. It's like, bro, even SPF 100 is not going to save you from that shit. It's just unnatural. Like, get an umbrella, get a hat, get back in the house. I live in a sunny area. I live in paradise. So it's like, I'm in and out all the time. I don't need to bake in the sun for 10 hours. I'm out there. In, out. Get that shade and then get out. Don't just bake. I did that in Fort Lauderdale, and oh my gosh, I got burned worse in Florida than I've gotten in like 5 years. My whole back. I just lost track of time. So that's not the play. But that's what you do when you're a tourist. When you're a tourist, you're like, I'm going to just go to the beach for 5 hours. But when you live near a beach and stuff, you're just like, I'm not going to do that because that's not actually healthy. But I don't know. I'm not a health advisor. Do what you got to do. Someone said, I love the beach, could stay there all day, but you need to take breaks. Well, if you're like a beach veteran, there's 2 ways you can get an umbrella, but probably they have these like pop open, I'm trying to think of what they're called, like a tent, I guess, of some sort. Like I got one that it folds in my trunk, and then when you open it, it just turns into a massive tent. Like if you want to stay at the beach all day, get one of those big boy tents. You could probably get a better one. I got a cheap one on Amazon, but I should probably get like a bigger one, like a huge tent. Just live on the beach. Yeah, Florida, dude, that sun did something else to me. I don't know. Is the Florida sun brighter than California, or did I just stay outside too long? I'm not sure. Yeah, I think the sun might be a little different out there. Something happened to me. But I met a cool guy. Like I was just walking alone. I met some guy. He was like blasting like Cuban music, and he was like dancing on the street, and I was like, dude, I like this guy. So then we ended up kicking it. He had friends. It was a good time. Rosemary and olive oil is boiled and used for antiseptic, somebody said, in World War II ghettos to treat gunshot wounds. Interesting. This is not health advice. I just have to say that because then there's going to be like, hey, and I watched Anomaly and I put olive oil in my eye. And now it's like, I can't have any lawsuits right now. So all of this is for comedic purposes only. Let's see. Humidity. Florida has lower chemtrails. Yeah, I don't know about all that. I was only there for like 4 or 5 days. It's so hot in Florida. I'm in Florida. Yeah, I got burnt. That's all I know. I stayed out in the sun too long, got destroyed, and my body did not appreciate it. Let's see. Florida Sun records. Florida Sun has Trump derangement syndrome. It's trying to turn everybody into an orange person. Dude, I love when white people are so tan that they just turn into like leather. Those are like my favorite people. When you see like an older white person and their body is just literally leathery, like I know they had a good life. They were in the sun so much, they just enjoying it. You never see someone with that leathery skin like upset. They're always having a good time. They all kind of look like Barry Manilow a little bit, I love that. You're like, dude, that guy rocks. He looks like he could be like Rod Stewart or something. I saw a few like orange leathery people, and it's just like, being white in the sun that much, that's just what happens. Someone said, I'm going with sunglasses, organic vitamin water. Was looking in the pantry for olive oil. Nothing with, I didn't say anything. Someone else said something. I'm just reading comments. Someone said leather faces, 75-year-old baseball gloves. I like that though. I'm not mad. I don't look at someone like, hey, like, oh, they got leathery skin. I'm thinking like they really lived life. You know what I'm saying? Like they love the sun. They cooked and people told them not to and they just didn't listen. And it's like, I don't know how I'm going to turn out. I've been in the sun a lot, but I'm part Puerto Rican, so I could be tan. I don't know. I mean, I also get burnt because I'm also white, but it's like, I don't know who I'm going to be. I might end up looking like super dark sometimes when I'm in the sun a lot. Other times, maybe I will get leathery. I don't know. Only God knows. Only time will tell. Someone said, Rusty just said, I just drank a gallon of olive oil because Anomaly told me to. I've never said that, but I know I'm being overly cautious because I understand, like, when you talk about financial stuff, technically you're like, this is not financial advice, because then if someone's like, I bought all the stocks because he told me to, it's like, I don't know why people say that, but they do. So I try to be very careful, even the way I word everything, because it's like, when I talk about certain people, politicians and stuff, like I try to be as accurate as possible. I'm trying to be accurate, but also legality reasons. It's like, if you speak the truth, it's easy to be protected by law. When you start being wrong and exaggerating, you start opening yourself up to certain things. So I try to like when I say that Elizabeth Warren is a pigeon, it's comedy because it's like, she's not literally a pigeon, but she literally kind of acts like a pigeon. So it's like, you could say that because it's comedic. But she can be like, I'm not a pigeon. I'm like, prove it. Prove it. Let's see your DNA. Prove that you're not a pigeon. No, I'm just kidding. I seem like a New Yorker. Let's just say I grew up not that far from New York. So you might be onto something. You might be onto something there. Someone said Anomaly's a Puerto Rican from Easy Harlem. No, I'm not from Harlem, but I'm not that Puerto Rican. That's like another level, like being 100% Puerto Rican from Harlem. Then you gotta you gotta like throw your sandwich at the bodega store to prove that you're really that real. I'm not that real. Someone said, bruh, even financial advisors say I'm not a financial advisor. This is not. Yeah, I know there's some sort of thing for YouTube. That's what they all do. They're like, Bitcoin's booming. I love Bitcoin. This is not financial advice. They're like, I would buy a lot of Bitcoin if I were you. This is not financial advice. Like, it's it's what you do to I don't know. If you Google it, I'm sure you can find out why everyone does that within 5 seconds. Someone said Anomaly was on MTV's Jersey Shore. No, you would definitely have seen me on there. That's pretty funny, though. I remember when it came out, though. You'll age well. I mean, only time will tell. Thank you, Pookie, but only God knows. Someone said lesbian seagull. What does that mean? Why are you talking about lesbian seagulls? I don't get it. I'm not mad at it, but I don't get it. Someone said, was Anomaly Mike the Situation? Yeah, that's my, my brand was getting bad. Didn't he go to jail for like tax evasion or something? It's like when I got out, I had to like rebrand, I was getting a little stale. So I had to just get into like aggressive politics. Someone said Anomaly has a mansion in the Hamptons. No. You want to hear a true story? I'm not making this up. This is a true story. I've been to the Hamptons once. And the reason I was in the Hamptons was because I was working for a landscaping company, or I was doing help for my stepfather who was doing landscaping. And I was like landscaping in the Hamptons. Like that was like some with like people that didn't even speak English. That's the only time I've been in the Hamptons to literally pull out weeds of a rich person. I was like in their soil, just pulling weeds out with a dude who didn't speak English. That's the only time. I mean, now I'm doing okay, but I've only been there once to do landscaping. True story. But don't feel bad for me. That's not a fake working class story. That is a real story. Someone said I live in the Hamptons, born and raised. I mean, whatever house I was at was nice. I can't say I like explored the land. I was just doing weeding, but it's supposed to be rich and nice there. Someone said Camptons equal cokeheads. Well, I think rich people like to party sometimes. I don't know. Bless the work of your hands. Everything was a character building or whatever they say when you do real stuff. Now I'm just soft, dude. I used to do landscaping, farming. I've done it all. I've worked at a grocery store, overnight stocking. Now I'm trying to retire. I'm tired. I've done enough. Not really. I'm still young. I mean, for work. Hopefully I could sell a lot of my new product and then I could just retire. But we'll see. Someone said we are not all millionaires. I would assume, yeah, not everybody's rich, but it's supposed to be a nice area. Anytime you hear Hamptons, people are like, I'm going to the Hamptons. It's not like I'm going to the like, it just seems like a rich place. I'm not saying everyone's rich there. It just seems like a nice place that people want to go. There's nothing wrong with that. That's all I know about it in my head. Someone said weeding, you mean smoking? No, I was literally pulling out weeds. I wasn't like just smoking weeds in the Hamptons. It's not like a code. It's not QAnon. I'm not dropping codes on you. I literally was doing landscaping and pulling weeds out. But the guy did make a weed joke though, like in Spanish, because I speak a little Spanish. He was like, he's like, mota. I was like, what, bro? He's like, he was like pointing to the weeds. I was like, you want weed? You have weed? You're joking? Like, I couldn't tell because I'm not like a fluent Spanish, but the guy literally made like a mota weed joke. And I was like, you want to smoke the actual weed? Like, that's not the same. I didn't know what was going on. But you just laugh. You're like, haha, yeah, for sure, bro. Like, it's like what people do when you speak to them in English when they don't really know English. They're like, yeah, man, like I've had that happen. It's like, I don't know what you're saying, man. I don't know what you're saying. They just like, yeah. No, I don't know. I have no idea. Leave me alone. I don't speak that. Hamptons is big. West Hampton, East Hampton, Southampton. Yeah, I don't know enough about it. One of them seems like they have a lot of money. Maybe like, which one's the rich one? West Hampton? Southampton? I don't know. I have no idea. I'm not trying to offend people of the Hamptons. Did I just create enemies in the Hamptons? Like, you don't know us. We live on the block. You never been to East Hampton, huh, boy? I'm like, dude, all I know is I've heard it. It's like, what's the place that Martha's Vineyard? It's like everyone in Martha's Vineyard's probably not rich, but like you hear that and you just like assume there's some wealth there. It's all I know. I'm just a guy who hears things and has picked weeds. Don't get mad at me. I'm sure there's some working class people out there Leave me alone, jeez. I'm just kidding. It's like Beverly Hills. Not everyone in Beverly Hills is rich. Yeah, I'm sure. Whatever. Yeah, Beverly Hills adjacent. Whatever. Get over it. You know, I live in Calabasas. We're not all rich out there. I live in a crack bin. I'm like, that's fine. I didn't mean it. I meant no harm. I don't know. This is not a geography session. No, I'm just kidding. All right, I'm gonna head out, guys. I don't know why. It's kind of fun to do the long streams, but it's also equally obnoxious. It's fun to talk and just like kind of like just be random for a little bit. But then it's also like people are like, why won't you talk about the Fauci booster shots? I was like, we did that 2 hours ago. So I'm trying to balance between doing this more and doing it less, but I'll probably do it less from here on out. With that being said, appreciate you guys. Have a good one. And I do have an outro video now. Within the next couple weeks, I might announce my new product. I'm pretty pumped about it. It was a long time coming trying to get it all together, so we'll see what happens, but I think you'll like it. I mean, I know you'll like it if you get it, but I don't know, maybe you won't. Maybe there's a chance you don't like it. I'm a bad salesman. You're supposed to be like, everybody likes it. They're all going to love it. It's like I think everybody's going to like it. It's my favorite, but what if one person doesn't like it and then they're like, I don't like it. It's like, well, what do you want me to do, lady? Everybody has a preference, so I got to figure out how to sell stuff better. Be like, this is the greatest hat ever. You flip it inside out. You can wear it like this. Look at this. Is you could rob a bank with this thing. No, I'm just kidding. But do not do that. Obviously, do not rob a bank. It's illegal. See, I'm always thinking of legality stuff. It's like, what if someone's like, see, he told me. I'm just joking. I don't know. But that's what the good salesmen do. They're like, this doubles as a ping pong ball. You could play catch with this thing. And it's like people are like, oh my gosh, I got to get 50,000 of them. I got to figure out a better sales pitch than being like, no, you'll love it, but you might not. I don't know. It doesn't hit as hard. All right. Appreciate you guys. Have a good one. I'll be back sooner than later, probably tomorrow. Maybe not though. It's what is it? St. Patty's Day? I might not be back tomorrow. Maybe Saturday. Hey, what's going on, my friends? Just a few ways to stay in touch and support if you'd like to. The first way is dreamrare.com. We have blue beanies, black beanies, pink hats, other colored hats, freedom versus tyranny shirts, stay blessed long sleeve, God is great long sleeve, and lots of more cool items coming soon. Dreamrare.com. Check out the shop to support. Everything's made in the United States. Handpicked by me. Patreon.com/raretalk for $5 a month. You can help support me, support the show. If you haven't noticed, unlike other channels, I don't work with very many sponsors, sometimes none at all. And part of the way I'm able to do that is with the dreamrare.com shop and patreon.com/raretalk. So thank you guys for keeping this show free, unimpeded, uninterrupted. I'm forever grateful. My free email list is stayintouchwithme.com. So check the links below in the description or just type in on any browser, stayintouchwithme.com, all one word. You'll find my email list, put it in there, and it's the least annoying email list you'll ever be on. I barely use it because I don't like getting emailed every day or every week. It's annoying. So I don't do it. Stayintouchwithme.com. It helps me take back some power away from big tech. Telegram, t.me/dreamrarechat or @dreamrarechat. Due to censorship, I post all my live stream and videos there. Sometimes I have some bonus content, and I try to give people a heads up when Facebook or YouTube won't. DreamRareChat at Telegram. My Instagram is @DreamRare. Thanks for everybody following there for shorter content. And DreamRareLinks.com. That's DreamRareLinks.com. Has all my stuff. My podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, my music on Spotify and Apple, my Rumble page, my BitChute and Gab page. All my links are found at DreamRareLinks.com. Thanks for watching, folks. God bless you. You already know I'll be back with more content soon. Appreciate you.